Hey, it's Tuesday, October the 23rd, 2018. It is the Giant Bombcast coming to you from the CBS Interactive office where it seems some kind of premature Thanksgiving is taking place.
I don't know. I came in.
Or a Renaissance fair of some kind.
There's a devil outside.
Also, I think I saw a pirate.
There's clowns on the way.
There are
That's not...
costumed individuals
I saw bagels and I got excited.
haunting our... What's going on over there?
I don't know. There's a team, there's a crew that shoots like custom content stuff for all the different parts of the company. Yeah, everyone's favorite stuff.
kind of content.
And they're shooting something.
Any branded content in there?
I bet it's branded as F. I don't know.
I overheard one dude just like, all right, I'm picturing a really long tracking shot, and we're going to follow you to it. We're going to cut back to his face.
Did he have a
and
British
then
accent?
back. He had some sort of,
Okay. What's
accent.
What's my motivation?
I don't know.
paid, baby.
I got to get in character.
Get that young Sheldon money.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. They're shooting something near our area.
Yeah.
It's a cavalcade.
all
It's
that
like
I know-
Halloween. It looks like a Halloween day.
It really does.
At work.
Yeah.
But-
Like there was a guy that was halfway to Jack Sparrow out there.
Yeah.
I thought the salespeople had come back in full droves. And we're like, you know what, fuckers? We came back
That's right.
with more people.
That's right.
Some carts.
Dressed up like pilgrims, ready to fight.
Shit. We should have been
We got a
nicer
case.
to
We
them.
got a case of water. What are you gonna do?
I saw some baby tripod legs, and I wanted to take them. Oh, man. Then I had to...
Oh, now's our chance.
Yeah.
God.
Speaking of pirates,
Gaff tape, too.
Yeah, let's go out there
Come up
and-
on some gaff tape.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they like wandered into our fucking studios. Like, hey, get out of there.
Exactly.
That's
It's going
right.
to cost you.
You said
the gaff tape tax.
We're racking.
You set
We're
that.
racking these tripods.
You set that gear down in our studio. It's our gear.
Someone with a clipboard gave me a mean face when I was trying to walk to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, shut up, man. I
my-
gotta pee.
Yeah.
my bathroom.
There were people blocking the hallway.
That's why you
and
just got to grab the tripod. It's a nice tripod. Get your own, and then push them and walk away.
It's a beautiful tracking shot you set up here. It'd be a shame if something were to happen.
That's
to
right.
it.
Exciting times here.
Jerks. They're probably great at their jobs.
In the
Yeah, they're
office.
probably very nice too.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Except when they're working, and then they're deadly serious. It's a podcast
Oh yeah.
about video games and stuff.
Okay.
And stuff.
Is that this week? It's about okay. Sure.
Video games or stuff?
Spin the wheel. Let's
What's
see
your
what we talk
preference?
about.
What's your preference?
50-50. I like stuff.
Coffee and... What's the next one?
I don't know.
The XFL.
Yeah.
Fuck the XFL.
Did you see the thing out
Kind
there
of
that
fuck coffee.
one of the, I think it was maybe the spokesman of the XFL was out there saying like you could,
what? Yeah. What if you could Venmo the players?
Wait, how is there still a spokesman for the XFL?
They are in the process of relaunching it.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And he was like, if a player does a particularly cool play, you know, what if you could just Venmo him a tip?
What?
I was like, what if you could go fuck yourself?
What if you could chip in for his health care when he breaks his leg?
Yeah.
Here's his GoFundMe.
Yeah, like will the XFL players be independent contractors just like the wrestlers are?
Yeah. No insurance.
Right. Pay for your own insurance. I don't know.
Vince McMahon is not going to peel off $1 billion to fund his shitty football league.
I'm still like, I feel like they're like, what are the odds that thing ever actually they actually play a game or
Fair.
not?
Yeah.
Because it
It's a fair
seems like
question.
a thing that came along in the wake of like, man, people sure don't like it when people kneel at these football games. What if we started a league where you didn't do that? And like the most fucked up way imaginable. You're like, wow, that's really shitty.
We put a ball on the back of your kneecap, and if you don't kneel down, you're just out of the league.
Right. So the idea that there was new XFL news and it was like shocking to me in a
Yeah.
weird way. And then on top of that, have it be the most fucking dystopian fucking sport thing. Like, what if you could tip the players?
Well, actually, you have to tip Pizza Hut, and then Pizza Hut will dole out the
Okay.
tip in pizza bucks to
pizza
the
bucks.
player directly.
Well, you figure the player is going to be delivering pizzas in the off season to make ends meet, so why not?
I would rather see some kind of Twitch plays XFL scenario where there are booby traps and stuff on the field.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Would that be more or less racist?
You can crowdsource trigger certain obstacles.
Well, that would be then almost like the F1 electronic E1. What the fuck? I forgot what they call it. The electronic car F1 offshoot that they're trying to make appeal to a younger demographic
Gamers.
by having we're gonna blast EDM during the races.
Great.
These carts are going to shoot green shells at each other.
Well, so that's the thing is there is
Oh,
a
no.
fan boost concept where like whoever gets the most tweets gets a fucking turbo boost because they're electric cars and they can do that kind of on the fly.
Yeah.
That the car will exceed its limitations.
The steering wheels already look like a giant GameCube controller.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's
Okay,
just
now
They're
I'm back
basically
in.
most
It's
of the way there.
next logical step.
Yeah, it's 50 laps of racing and then 2 matches of Smash and then 50 more laps of racing.
Oh, no.
So everything you love combined into one thing.
I did see some footage this morning of, I guess they're starting to shoot races with drones.
Oh yeah,
And it
drone
was
racing is
just a real.
Yeah.
No, I mean car races.
okay.
Like shooting
Just
the
have,
race.
like,
Just now?
I mean, I'm sure it's happened before.
Oh,
but this is
okay,
the first
okay,
time I
sure.
saw like good, clean, professional-looking footage of it.
Okay.
Looks like a fucking Forza game. Like it's cool as shit.
Yeah, is it like that
It's
behind the back?
literally, it is
Like-
literally just
Yeah.
like probably tracking to the car. So it's like swooping around these two cars. Trying.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
jockeying.
not unnerving, just like being in the car.
The footage looks awesome. It
You're
looks
probably
like
up
a game.
high enough, or the drone's probably up just high enough, and you're hearing the roar of an engine, so you probably can't even hear the drone.
Yeah, but you know it's there. You just know it's right there, following every move you do.
There are always cameras pointed at the races. I don't know. That's but
It's a drone.
It's a drone.
Drones shouldn't be following us. Drones. I've been attacked by drones in San Francisco multiple times. So.
Same. Yeah, likewise.
How big a drone? are we talking?
One time it was a little guy, but then one time it was a pretty decently
Was
sized one
it
on
trying
the
to
beach.
deliver you a burrito?
No, so we thought it was
wish.
like bees or something. So we were laying on our stomachs, just hanging out in Dolores Park, and we hear this buzzing, and we're like, "Oh no, it's bees!" You got to turn around and vaguely swat your arm around as if you know what you're doing
Right.
with
Yeah.
bees. But I turned around, and it was a fucking drone just buzzing us.
So some dipshit somewhere was just like, check this shit out. These people are laying down.
I got this on Black Friday. Check it out.
Yeah. So that's like, that should be where you use your height, stand up, grab the drone out of the air, and stomp on it. And then someone comes over and goes, "Bro, what'd you do?" I was like, well, I don't know. I thought it was a robot. I didn't see anyone else controlling it, so I smashed
I
it.
thought it was a rogue agent. And
Yeah.
I did my duty as an American to take it out.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that shit, man.
Fight the future.
A drone fell from the sky and fell on top of my car while I was driving.
Whoa.
That was fun.
And you weren't even racing.
No, I wasn't even racing. I was just driving down the dog patch, and then I'm at a stop sign, and then just falls out of the sky onto my windshield.
Any damage?
No damage, but
Yeah.
then I set the drone down on the ground, but upside down. So the owner,
nice.
if they tried to pick it back up,
Yeah.
could not fly.
I'd have been like free drone.
Did nobody show up and?
And then he gets like within range, I was flying in the back seat.
Yeah.
He's chasing me.
I was hoping you were going to say you set the drone down on the ground and then ran over it.
I know how expensive those are.
It
I
hit your
felt bad
car,
for a
man. It
second.
assaulted you.
That's true.
That's
I should have
Drones are
thrown
gonna-
it into
yeah.
the
If a
ocean.
thing in motion hits you, you're not liable, so you're good.
Right, they took the first strike, so it's self-defense from then on out.
It's self-defense for you to throw it in your trunk and drive away.
Okay, good.
I just picture you like wrapping it in a blanket and trying to take it home and nurse it back to
or
health.
grabbing
naming
it, finding the camera on it, holding it up. Oh, you done fucked up now. And then smashing the fucking drone into bits.
The best part is he'll have that proxy of me just yelling at it all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
I know this doesn't play on an audio show, but I promise I'll put this footage in the show notes.
All the sky.
But
wow, that is pretty
It
rad.
does look artificial.
totally looks like a game.
That does look fake.
It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Wow, they're pretty close.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a drone. That drone
Jesus.
is like probably 5 feet away from that car.
I didn't know they can go that fast.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty all right.
They're as fast as race cars now.
Yeah.
Remember last year during the Super Bowl when they made the American flag out of drones?
Oh God.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Lady Gaga
Did they?
was singing up on like a pyramid or something, and then they flew in a bunch of drones, and it made an American flag behind her, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
This is America.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And then she jumped off the stadium, right?
Yeah, and then
That's
she
what
jumped. It was cool, and she landed. She's fine.
happened? She's okay.
She's in that movie now.
Great.
Speaking of America, what's up with Soul Calibur?
The finest American product. What? Soul Calibur's back.
That came out on Friday?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That is the newest video game
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
so.
as of right now.
Yeah, it's back after 5-6 year hiatus. I think it's back in good form. It's the best feeling Soul Calibur I've played since like 2.
It's got good caliber
Yeah,
feeling.
they really
Yeah.
they kind of did the Street Fighter 4 treatment of bringing it back to what people remember as kind of the base.
Exactly.
line.
Yeah. They have added some stuff, and that's kind of been the big divisive thing. This mechanic called the reversal edge, and what it is kind of like a Street Fighter 4 like focus attack, where you like hold down a button, you get into a stance, and then you have like one hit of armor. But when you hit your opponent, it'll blow through like some of their attacks. So if you're like coming at me with a few, like a bap 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 kind of thing,
Like the Dan Reichert?
Yeah, like the Dan Reichert, you can hold down that button,
the mashy thing.
Yep, and it'll counterattack.
Okay.
Essentially.
Oh, so they
once
watched your video series.
Yes. So once that happens, it turns into like this weird rock paper scissors mechanic. And if this seems out of like place or like out of
It really just stops combat.
it stops the combat almost.
literally
directly,
brings things to a halt.
I've been likening it to some of the stuff that NetherRealm has done with like, hey, in this stage transition, you're going to be punching a guy as he falls, but
Or
he
like
can
when
reverse
you're
it and
deciding
Quiver
how
wins
much
at the
meter
end.
you want to
Are there
spend.
like
the
button
injustice
prompts
stuff.
on the screen?
No, there's not. And I mean, they do explain it in
basically
if you go
choose-
through a tutorial, but it does go through like a rock, paper, scissors kind of mechanic, because it's already got that built in. It's got vertical attacks, horizontal attacks, and then kicks.
So is the outcome of that pre-decided when it starts, or are you actually
Each player
Each player
Okay.
chooses
Okay.
a button, and then
Yeah.
one button beats the other button,
Okay.
or they clash,
Yeah.
and then the fighting continues.
So you like hit them with a reversal edge, step back, and then they're like, okay, go. And then,
I don't like it one bit.
I see
more
the
played
merits
I was
of it.
like, yeah, there's probably some value, because
Yeah.
to someone who's just mashing it out, you just go fuck this and back them off. But
think
then
it's-
like you say fuck this, and then you still might lose because you pushed the wrong button
That's
and
true.
you're guessing or
That's fighting games, man.
So there's
That's all fighting games, man. It's all rock, paper, scissors.
He's
man.
not wrong.
Like
He's not wrong.
you're absolutely right, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it just
it's
feels
It's
terrible
like
break in the
distilled
action.
down to a like.
it's boring. I guess I would say
It's
like
strange. I haven't used it enough or have it used on me enough to kind of figure out where it belongs in like a play style, like if it's a competitive.
Well, I think like lower, like people who are playing in a much mashier style than someone who's going to learn the moves.
Yeah. Yep.
Like some of those, just triangle. You're mashing it out. It will mash into the reversal edge.
Yep.
So you find
Yeah, that's
yourself
true.
doing it more often than you want to.
Yeah.
And
Well, don't hit that the third
don't
time.
hit it the third time.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop mashing.
Yeah. The lesson is always stop mashing. But also, we're talking about Soul Calibur, which is a franchise that when you take it all the way back to the Dreamcast, like enjoyed that kind of mainstream popularity of people who only play that game as mashing.
Right. Exactly.
So it seems like it's bad for them. Like when we look at the way auto combos have been used over the last couple of years here, like this seems like a bad implementation of that
That's a good
type
point.
of idea.
Yeah, I didn't consider that it might immediately turn some people off because it could seem pretty broken. Like if you don't really understand
And
it.
you're just. And
Do you remember how
you're
upset
like, wait,
people-
why? How I'm hitting the buttons and nothing's happening for a
Yeah.
second here. What's even going on?
Yeah,
Like,
but do you remember how upset people were with like supers and Tekken? They're like, it's so cheap, because you can blow through somebody's attack.
Right, yeah.
With those, this is that and then some, because you can do it umpteen times per match. And really, it's such a good like defensive tool to get mashers off of you. That it's going to piss off a lot of
right,
people.
but you're getting mashers off of you, but then it's still kind of a coin toss as to like you got them off of you, and then you lost the edge, the confrontation there, and now you're stunned and taking more damage. Like,
Is that
it
the
doesn't
outcome?
feel like a
Sometimes.
Is that the outcome of the clash is a
yeah.
stun,
There are
or-
a few different
Oh, I see.
outcomes depending on what hits, but
Usually
It's
it's
not
just a hit.
also entirely a rock paper scissors thing because you can block.
Yeah,
to-
there's
Right.
other elements to it, just like a fighting game. You can kind of dodge as well, as opposed to just doing a straight up attack.
Yeah, I guess like Soul Calibur is one of the last like big 3D fighters out there, right?
Yeah, there's DOA.
Tekken.
Well, Tekken kinda. I still think of Tekken is on a plane though.
Oh, really?
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not fair, but Soul Calibur is like very much like moving in
the
and out of the
8-way
background.
run kind of
Yes.
changes
More
the
prevalent,
movement compared to like a Tekken or something like
It is
that.
a
Like,
free.
it's
It was
kind
one of the last free running.
Yeah. Most games seem to have got like Mortal Kombat went back to a 2D
Right. Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Now, bear in mind the reversal edge is extremely easy to see coming out, and it's
You can just straight up avoid it?
Oh,
totally.
it's
like
not a
like the
huge
move
startup.
has to hit
Okay.
to start to trigger the thing.
yeah, it's literally like you press it, and then it hits.
Okay.
Little like that.
Yeah.
And then you have plenty of time to dodge up or down. You're talking about the 8-way run. It's very, very easy to dodge. So anybody who's spent some time with it, it's a non-issue, right? Unless you're mashing out all these strings, and then you get blown up by this. But
I guess like the way you're describing it with what I've played of it is it's like you're saying there are definitely ways to avoid this lame thing. Like it just.
Like I said,
it's got a use.
It's got a use. Like I'm not going to use it on offense,
Sure.
And, I'm going to use it as a get off me kind of scenario.
I think that's why it's so questionable that they would.
It does damage. You build meter from it.
Yeah.
There's certain advantages if your opponent's very low on life, and they're going to come in with a 3-hit combo or something like that. Just do the reversal edge, and then you'll do the damage to kill them.
Sure.
There's lots of different instances in which it can work.
I'm not saying it's
I'm
useless,
not going to use it,
but yeah, it just I don't like what it does to the flow of the fights.
Yeah.
and I think that there are probably better ways to solve the issue they were trying to solve.
Yeah,
with this.
ultimately, I don't like what it does to the flow of the fights. I like what it is as as a defensive tool.
Yeah.
I like having that as an option. I don't like how it breaks the flow.
Yeah, having it end offensive combos,
right?
When it's primarily, it seems like it might be best as a defensive tool, and whatever we'll see as more people. Play it.
And I've been playing it, a bunch online, and I'm not seeing a ton of people using it, because it is so dangerous, or so vulnerable.
It leaves you pretty open.
Yep, very much so.
Tell me about your experience with the online. Have you been playing player matches, ranked,
both actually? Yeah.
How are you finding success in looking for ranked matches? Because I have not been able to connect to a single one that has had better than a 3-bar connection.
I've had consistent 3 and 4-bar connections.
PlayStation
I've never,
or PC?
Yeah, what version?
PlayStation.
Okay, I'm playing on PC.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's an issue or not, but so the online feels pretty good, even on like 3 and 4-bar connections. I haven't had any disconnects. I haven't had any issues finding people either. It does take about 30 seconds to connect, and that is considerably long.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. Wow. Between the just like found opponent, connecting to opponent, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it feels like it's maybe
okay. Maybe
20,
I was getting a little
seconds.
impatient, but yeah, I was. I'm finding good success in like player rooms, lobbies and stuff like that, matching up with 4 or 5-bar or 3 or 4-bar connections, but. On ranked, I was not finding anyone. I had to turn it down to let any connection connect, and I was getting 2 and 1-bar.
Oh, that sounds
matches,
gross.
which were unplayable.
I wonder if that's just a factor of like the fighting game audience is still primarily on consoles. Well, primarily on PS4, I guess at this point.
PS4, typically.
The PC audiences have been growing pretty solidly,
definitely.
which is cool.
Some of
the first time I've opted for the PC version of a game.
Yeah,
how is it? The PC version of Tekken was really good.
I like it so far. I haven't noticed many glaring issues.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I thought about getting it on PC as well, but overall, I'm really happy with it. I don't necessarily like the reversal edge. I like the critical edge mechanic, which is kind of like their super. They brought back meters, so you can spend 1 bar of meter to either do a critical edge, which is like a super, or I forgot what it's exactly called. It's basically like a super up, power up kind of move. You spend 1 bar,
like an EX move.
No, not
puts
exactly.
you into like a hyper state or something where you do more damage on block. You get access to new moves, stuff like that.
It doesn't last very long.
No, it doesn't last.
And it's also
very
a really
long.
good get off me thing. It kind of makes a little
and pushes them back
around you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's super useful. So I'm seeing more people use that as opposed to just like a raw super because
it seems like the damage potential is higher.
Pretty much, I only see people using supers to like close out rounds where they know that guaranteed damage is going to win them the round.
Yeah, that seems like it. Overall, I'm very happy. Like I said, this feels like the best Soul Calibur since like 2. I was really happy with 5 actually. Even going back to like 3 and 4, I was pretty cool with them. I'm a fan of the series, fair weather fan, I guess, but this is the most into it I've been. I really like the character creation.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you
boy.
got up into any of that shit with the character creators.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Who are you making?
So I made a Guts from Berserk.
Oh, yeah, sure. Big
I'm
sword.
making, yep. And let's see.
That Kirby floating around on
Oh,
Twitter
yeah.
is just...
The Kirby's really good.
Really,
I saw
really
good
perfect cell.
Magic Carp as well.
Oh, wow.
The Volta one.
Yeah.
Saw a really good Crimson Chin.
Ah.
Yeah.
There's some fantastic shit out there.
As far as the like the actual character roster, they went pretty meat and potatoes, right?
Yep,
Like
very
the-
much. Yeah, back to
two
basics.
new
The Street Fighter 4 tactic of here's all the characters you know and like one new one.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be
And
some
not even
DLC though.
and not even clones, which is nice. But yeah, they've got 3 new characters. You know, they've got Geralt from The Witcher. He feels like like he's right at home. He uses his like signs and sigils and stuff. Some magic attacks. There's also Grow, which is like a very edgelord dude.
he's Darth
He's
Maul.
stance based. Yeah, kind of Darth Maul. Yeah.
He seems like Darth Maul, but also Solid Snake.
Yeah.
like
He's got
vaguely
that-
military, and
Like,
also the eye
yeah.
patch definitely kind of goes there.
Military, like what era?
16th century.
Okay.
but
Give or
also
take.
like modern military.
Yeah, he's got a weird
tinge.
Yeah,
Huh.
he feels
don't-
he
we
feels
don't
like
double-
a
he's
cyber
got
dude.
a double sword.
If he was in Deus Ex as a boss,
Yeah.
I would not be shocked.
Play the story mode to find out more about
Okay.
Grow. Then there's also like a as well, who's also kind of stance based, but
He's just got magic weapons.
yeah, he's got magic weapon. He's really cool, very inventive, and not just a cookie cutter like Soul Calibur kind of character. They put some work into him, it seems like. But I'm overall really impressed. They brought some of the story mode stuff back.
I actually have been digging there's 2 kind of single player things. There's like a story mode where you can pick each character and kind of go through their story.
Yeah.
But then there's this kind of I don't know
make
what to
your own
call
character,
it,
right?
but you make your own character and it kind of takes you through the history of Soul Calibur from like
The stage of history.
exactly. They take you from kind of the inception where what's his name got the blade or
From when Siegfried got it.
fucking there's a lot of story. I learned
There's-
that Cervantes was the first person to have the Soul Calibur, and then
Yeah, he
split
had it right in Soul Edge.
He split it
Wasn't
in
he the last
half.
boss of
He's
Soul Edge?
a boss of Soul Calibur.
And that's why there's 2 is because Cervantes fought with 2 swords, and so the sword was like, "I'll be 2 swords." And then
So yeah, that's somebody wrote in
That's
a while.
split up,
Yeah, right. It's the Soul Edge and Soul Calibur are different swords.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
but they were the same sword.
Okay.
Swords got hearts and eyes and brains and souls, and
And they burn.
Yes. And still,
Their stories are eternally retold.
that's for sure.
the character creator. Not to go back too hard on it, but it's fucking one of the best, I would say, character creators for a fighting game I've ever seen. Dude,
it seems like the right level
pretty-
of dumb.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff. There's not as many like items as I would prefer. Like if you look at Tekken, there's
Yeah, but
so
I'm not
many
like
different
when
items.
I don't
even
care
like
about the
when
item.
Virtua Fighter was coming out, like there's just a ton of
Yeah,
selections
customers-
and stuff. Yeah, but like it's about the freedom of just like I want to
Yes.
put this horn
Yeah.
where his dick goes.
Stickers,
Yep.
like you can apply any pattern to any part of any
Yeah, that kind of
piece
stuff
clothing,
is amazing.
and
Yeah.
you can color them completely. You have like full range of control of like style and how something looks, and that's really cool. And it's just some really inventive shit out there.
Yeah, so if you've got like like a tunic or something like that, or just like a loincloth, you can apply a different pattern to it. You can reverse that pattern.
Put stickers on
It's-
it.
Yeah, put stickers on
Color
it.
those stickers.
Yep, make like a nice little cat head on your head. You can make a mummy.
You can, yeah.
Okay.
You can make a mummy.
Okay.
There's a bunch of classes you choose from as the basis of your character. There's like human,
Races, yeah.
furry human, robot human, mummy human,
I've been listening
Man?
to
Maybe a lizard man.
maybe a lizard man.
I've been listening to Making a Mummy this season. It's been really good.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, that's.
I hope he
it's
gets his
a-
justice.
Yeah,
I like
me
the
too.
part where it goes,
Mummy Justice is
Mummy Justice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the
They
interview.
sucked my brains out through my nose.
Right. Yeah, it's just a weird interview.
Okay. then.
Made a mummy named Kyle.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Great game.
Sounds all right.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah, a pretty great game. But yeah, I think the reversal edge stuff is kind of divisive.
Yeah. Sounds to be the case.
But it's a hurdle that I think is can be overcome if you really like.
I think.
the
Yeah,
gameplay.
like I
If
think
you really
enough
like the game.
people like it. It's not like a.
It's
it
not
doesn't
a
break it.
huge deal breaker. It's
Yeah.
a bummer, I think, the way that it plays out. But I like where they were going with it.
Yeah.
But
Tekken proved that slow-mo in key moments of gameplay could be really cool, but
Yeah.
just not kind of in the middle of the match.
yeah, yeah, it's a completely different thing because this is like an active, slow mo thing, like where you've got to hit the right button at the. Fuck, man. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I
this
don't need
game has finally shown me that maybe I didn't like Soul Calibur all that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I loved it on Dreamcast. Did not like 2 or any of the ones they've made since.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And then, in the wake of Tekken 7, I think I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'm ready for
Maybe
another Soul Calibur.
ready for another,
I
like,
feel
3D fighter, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
like this is, they're talking about it like a return to form or return to roots. I'm like, okay, cool, because I like Soul Calibur, but it turns out I liked that mission mode in the Soul Calibur story that was just like, hey, slippery floors and do this and do that, which that's
no
what that,
blocking.
yeah, like that goofy shit I like, but I guess I don't actually like playing Soul Calibur against other people at all, apparently.
The no blocking mission was a teenage me masher's dream.
Right.
Whenever you had that modifier on there, it was great.
Yeah, that was like a fun, cool mode for a fighting game that I wish more of them did in the wake of that. But
yeah, they kind of touch on that stuff in this one. Like,
right.
There's like
that other story mode has like some of those conditions, but it's not. Yeah,
it's not nearly as goofy from what I've seen.
While we're on fighting games, I want to take just a second to shout out Lethal
Karate
League.
Champ.
Karate Champ, check it out.
Game's good. The original
throwing flower
fighting
pots
game.
at you.
It's on the television.
It's on Lethal League Blaze just came out today. And
Today?
yeah, today, this morning. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but yeah, they made another
You should.
Lethal League. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of a high octane Pong
Baseball fighting
baseball
game?
fighting game where you're trying to hit another player with a ball. It's kind of in this 2D square arena thing. They made another one.
Every time you hit the ball, it gets faster.
Yeah.
That's the
And so
core
you're
thing.
kind of, you pick a character. They each have different angles at which they hit the ball and special abilities and stuff like that. And they kind of made some modifications to the core gameplay. You have a health meter now instead of just one hit kills.
That's a big deal. Big deal.
Which allows for more often you will get those high speed ball scenarios, which was the best part of the first game when you could get up to 10,000 miles per hour or whatever. And they added like a story mode and some other single player stuff that's okay. It's one of those indie games where you come to if you think you will have some people who will play it with you is probably the best way to check it out. But it's super easy to pick up still. Cool new characters. They got the composer of the Jet Set Radio game.
Oh.
Jet Set Radio and Jet Grind to do music for the game. And those tracks are really cool. But yeah, check it out. It's out
The
now.
game is ridiculously
If you
fun.
like the first one,
especially in a group.
this is just, I think, better on all fronts.
A much better iteration, yeah. Like, it doesn't feel like a full sequel, but I mean, this feels like, the ultimate realization of that game. Get it? It's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who's into adjusting insurance?
Fuck yeah, baby, let's go.
I haven't gotten to play that thing, but I'm fascinated.
Holy
I want to know
shit.
who played that.
I played that. The Return of Obra
Return of the Obra Dinn.
Dinn? Or
Yeah.
Din?
Whatever, yeah.
Or are we,
Something
would-
like that.
No idea what this
Dean.
is.
I'm going to go with Dean. So this is the newest game from Lucas Pope, who you may remember from Papers, Please, 5 years ago. Which
it's been a while.
Wild to think about. But this game is incredibly hard to talk about and describe without really getting into it. The crux of it is you are an insurance adjuster. It's early 1900s, and a ship washes ashore without its crew. There's a crew of like 65 people on it. When it left, it went to go loop around the Canary Islands and come back. And so you row up to the boat, and all you have with you is a book and a watch, or like a little pocket timepiece. The book. So the game is kind of an adventure game, I would call it. It's we had Rami Ismail here for Unprofessional Fridays last week, and he described it as murder Sudoku, I think, which is like
Or mystery Sudoku.
Detective Sudoku, something
Detective
like that.
Sudoku, yeah.
And that's like such a really perfect way to describe this game. You're kind of the action of the game is you're going through and reliving the deaths of the people on the boat. You kind of slowly start to uncover, you find one corpse, which leads you to another one, which leads you to another one. So in one sense, it's very linear. It's just kind of you kind of see what happened at the time of their death. And it hops around time quite a bit. It kind of starts at the end, and then it goes to the middle, and, goes around. But your ultimate goal is to figure out who everyone is and how they died. And your references are a manifest, which has everyone's names, and it has their names, their jobs on the ship, and their nationalities. And then you have a picture with everyone's face on it. It's like some drawings that an artist did of like fun times on the boat. And it's like a bunch of people on the boat dancing. And they're like, here's another one of like our really important passengers. And it's like a bunch of people who look all regal sitting there. So you have these names and these faces, and you have to use context clues from the murders to figure out who died and how. And it starts you off with some fairly obvious ones. Like one of the first ones you get is the captain of the ship, just because like he's front and center of the picture. You find his corpse relatively early, and you're like, okay, that's the captain. I can figure that out.
He's wearing the hat.
Yeah. And so when you experience this, it like pops up as like, who is this and how did they die? And you don't have to fill it out. And most likely you're not going to have all the information for your first time going through. But you're like, okay, well, I know how they died. They got stabbed by a sword or whatever. And so you write that in. And if you know their name, you can find who they are in the manifest. And every 3 that you get right, they lock in. So it tells you like, yes, these 3 are right. But then so you kind of keep going and use context clues to kind of figure out, like, you might hear somebody yell to somebody else, like, hey, Rogers, go get the whatever.
Are you seeing actual flashbacks of what happened?
So you see a moment frozen in time, and you're walking around. You can just like investigate it. So it's a first-person game. You control it, WASD with mouse movement and stuff like that.
With a really, I don't know how to describe that art style.
So
it's kind of monochromatic. It's almost
like a one bit.
I think that's how he's
how
he's describing it.
And it's funny, you can swap between monitors. There's like a Macintosh flavor and IBM flavor.
It looks very
color scheme.
It looks very like a old early 80s PC game, except it's like 3D and
it uses a lot of dots and lines basically to draw everything. And that's kind of the crux of the game. I don't want to say too much because it's very much a game about experiencing the story, kind of seeing where things go, how this terrible fate befell this crew, and right out the gate it starts getting wild, and it gets just deeper and weirder, and it's very slow and methodical. You have to really think. I have a notebook, and I have a lot of just like nicknames for people who I keep seeing in these flashbacks, like angry bald guy 1, angrier bald guy, guy with good gun, tattoo man 2, Irish tattoo man. Like, because it forces you to like make assumptions and stuff, because the manifest straight up says like, oh, this person's Chinese, this person's Irish, this person's whatever. And so you have to kind of be like,
narrow it down.
That guy kind of, like, you're finding yourself like, am I being racist? Like, is that, I'm pretty sure that guy is like one of the Chinese top men, and like, you start to kind of learn more about boats and stuff. Like, there's a glossary in the back that tells you what each of the jobs does, and so you can be like, oh, this guy's a top man. That means he works up in the whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so, since he died here, he's probably this guy, and so you start to kind of pull everything together. It's got an incredible score, which I didn't realize Lucas Pope also did.
Oh, cool.
It's very just like sinister boat music, I guess would be the genre I would use.
My
to
favorite
describe
genre of music. Everyone's
yeah, it's just a lot of like creepy violins and percussion, like gongs and swelling drums and scary violins. It's just really fucking cool. It doesn't have the same kind of emotional impact as a Papers, Please. It's not about kind of putting you in a scenario where you're making the best of a shitty situation. It's more of like, it's you kind of...
It's kind of deductive reasoning.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
Using deductive reasoning, seeing... And it's very much a thing of like, oh, you think you know what's going on, and then you go another chapter back and you see, oh shit, this is way more fucked up than I even can consider. It's kind of a hard game to play because it's very mentally taxing.
Yeah, I think I've seen multiple people say like they could only play in short bursts, or kind of you just sort of run out of steam on it and have to put it down.
I have people. I've seen people on both ends of the spectrum where some people were like, "I finished this in one sitting. I didn't think I would. I just like blacked out, and by the time I realized I was done." I'm enjoying playing like an hour and a half every morning. I was worried towards the beginning that I was going to forget so much because you like see these flashbacks, and you can revisit the flashbacks at any time. Once you see it, it's stored in your book. You can bookmark certain pages. It makes cross-referencing things very easy in the game. But then additionally, I have my book of notes that I've just been jotting freehand. So it's not too bad. I kind of am enjoying spending a little bit of time just learning a little bit more of the story every day, and then I feel like once I kind of mainline the story and I have all the information that I'm going to get, I'll spend 2 or 3 hours just like really drilling down who's who and what's what.
So that was actually my question is do you feel like is there a clear indicator as like, hey, this is stuff that you can do to critical path the story and this stuff might be extra?
So I can't say for sure, but I think you can only end the game once you've identified everyone.
Yeah.
I
have heard that there is kind of your playthrough is going to take X amount of time and you'll probably see a lot of it, but there's more, or there's kind of more to do, implying that kind of there's.
Well, straight up when you get the book, so it's in chapters, and each of the kind of each chapter is a segment of time on the boat.
Okay.
And there's one chapter that says this chapter will be revealed when you bring this back to HQ.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's only unlocked once you have a certain number of people, or once you
get to the bottom of the main thing, you go back and it's like, okay, now what's up with this? Maybe it's something like that.
So I can't speak to that exactly, but it seems like you can definitely mainline and get like most of the story if you want to just not even use your deductive reasoning, not even try and figure out who's who. And I'd say 5 to 6 hours.
Huh. I don't remember exactly what we heard, but wasn't there some massive disparity between like, here's the critical path hour number, and then here's the number to see everything?
Yeah, the see everything number seems
many times bigger.
Yes.
I've seen most people say it's between 9 and 12 hours, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been intentionally not trying to look too much into it because I don't want to spoil it.
I just mostly wanted to hear what you do in that game. Like, it sounds like discovering the details is where the joy is.
Yeah.
So obviously we'll avoid specifics there.
Such a cool look.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Like the concept sounds fantastic.
It's really like on one hand, I would say if you're interested in this game, just get it straight up. Don't even look at it. But if you're kind of on the fence, just check out some early gameplay footage, and it's just got a really cool look, really cool sound, really good sound effects. Like you feel like you're on this fucked up weird giant boat. It's very empty because it's just you and corpses.
Yeah.
So it kind of has this dread about it that I really appreciate.
I love dread.
Then you'll love The Return of the Obra Dinn.
I just like what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Conceptually, like he's out there taking very mundane sounding things and weaving very interesting experiences around them.
Totally.
What else is out? Jeff, you play anything else?
I've been playing Starlink.
Oh yeah,
kind of sticking with that. That game is surprising. This is
the Ubisoft
Spaceship Toys to Life thing that is best played without the toys, or the life. And yeah, so it is a spaceship game, and you've seen a lot of shots of dogfighting in space and all this other stuff. But also there is another component to it that is you planet side, like stuck to the ground on your ship. It doesn't transform into a tank, which seems like would have been the right thing to do here.
More of like a hovercraft kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so at that point,
they could have sold a whole new vehicle.
I know, right? At that point, it becomes like you are on the ground taking quests from quest givers. Go scan 3 of these animals. Bring this. Go find these items and bring them here. Solve these problems for these quest givers, and it becomes like kind of a action adventure kind of thing on the planet.
Are you playing No Man's Sky?
Yeah, I know, but because it's more like
he's having fun.
It's more like there's here's this open world adventure game, like a Fable or not. I was going to say Zelda, but there's not dungeons per se. It's just like, hey, there's a level range for this planet. You're going to land here like an MMO and do a bunch of quests that are like scan 3 of these birds. Or hey, we're under attack and you clear this out. Once you clear it out, like, oh, you're going to find some bonus loot and you're finding all these mods and helping out this prospector. So now every 5 minutes I get a bunch of money wired my way because the prospector is always mining things. And
sometimes there's like big boss fights.
Yeah,
and stuff.
there are, so there are like big installations on these planets of just like, hey, you should clear out the like infection of these enemies here. And you go there and go through a multi-stage kind of boss fight there. But you're this ship. And you have 2 weapons armed on the ship, and you just kind of like skirt around, stuck to the ground. You jump So like the ship can jump. You don't really
Okay.
fly up and down when you're stuck to the planet. You stay there. You can bounce up in the air. You can do barrel rolls while you're in the air, and you get XP for tricks when you're doing that sort of stuff.
Just a lot of circle strafing.
Totally.
Okay.
Yes,
There's
exactly.
no
It is
getting
a
out of
ton
it.
of circle strafe. You do
No-
not get
no
out of
get
the
out of the
ship.
ship.
It seems like a game where maybe they should have had you get out of the ship because you are going up to a building and it says push to talk and you talk to the building and there's a theoretically a person inside, and sometimes you see an image of an alien that lives inside this ship, this satellite terminal or whatever. And it just has this weird feeling of like this was a space game and then we hacked a bunch of ground stuff into it. And it just like it feels like different. Like, yeah, you should have been out of the ship. You should have been in a tank, but it's just a ship, and it's kind of awesome in a weird way because it just looks so crazy. And then at any point, you just hit R and fly off the planet and go to another planet.
Yeah,
and
so
do
that
other
was
stuff.
that was
Yeah.
the No Man's Sky vibe
Right.
I got watching you play it.
There's that, and
Instead.
the scanning animals, and that's the kind of No Man's Sky aspect of it. But really, it's hey, there's this main storyline. You're getting quests, you're getting side quests, and you're leveling up your ships. You're leveling up the weapons on your ships. You're leveling up your pilots. All that stuff along the way, and unlocking new abilities and all that, and getting a ton of mods that you're like, okay, well, these are the two weapons I'm using right now, so I'm going to equip a rate of fire increase here, and this is when I do an elemental combo, I'll get extra bonus damage here, and stuff like that. So like the loadout tends to matter. So then on top of that, you have ships and wings and weapons, and that's where the toy and pilots, and that's where the toy stuff comes in. I'm playing on the Switch. And so if you're playing with the toys, you are taking your Joy-Cons and docking them into this grip that has a mount for the ship on it. You slot a pilot into it, you put the ship over him, and then you put the wings on, and then you put the weapons on the wings. And so you can turn the weapons around and fire behind you if you want. You can put the wings on upside
wow.
down, and it'll
Oh, I
represent that in the game.
You can put wings
You can
on
put
wings
wings
on
on
wings.
wings on wings. So you can have and each wing has stats.
God, I'm
but also you're increasing the weight of the ship as you do that. So you're kind of there's
really?
there's sort of a
Are those modifiers more stat based as opposed to like
that's like handling or
Okay.
speed or
Okay.
that sort of stuff.
because I think
Like-
about like the vehicle builder in say like Banjo Nuts and Bolts
Right.
is very physics based.
Yeah, no, this
It
is
doesn't-
not that.
It doesn't take that
No,
into account.
No, this
Okay.
is there are stats for your ship, and you're
Okay.
increasing them or
Okay.
decreasing them by
Can-
what you're putting on.
Can you get dumb with the mods like that in the digital only version?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my question. How do you put wings on wings on wings in the digital only?
So that there are two ways to play it. I think
Yeah.
they wisely realized at some point that hey, Toys to Life is not a thing.
We can either cancel this game or we
Yeah.
can make it so
Or
you don't
we
have
can,
to buy
we can
toys.
provide another option. The toys are actually like pretty sturdy for what they
Yeah,
are.
I
Like
was
I don't know
gonna
that I
say
would
that-
play with them as separately from the game because they just.
They're definitely not cheap.
But they, the R-wing looks good. It's a good-looking fucking R-wing.
The pilots look
Yeah, the
good.
pilots are very small, but they look nice. Like overall, I think the quality of the toys is solid. But it's a Switch. I'm playing it on the Switch. I'm not going to carry toys with me where I'm going. That's ridiculous. Who's going to do that? No one. So you can also and you can also buy all the ships and pilots and parts and stuff digitally. So when Ubisoft sent it over for review, they sent over like whatever deluxe edition there is that just comes with all the stuff. So at any point, if you don't have a ship docked or anything like that, it'll just say push A to play digitally. And then it's like, okay, cool. We're not going to worry about the dock anymore. Just play. And then from there, there's a loadout screen where you say, I want to change out my pilot. I want to change out the core of my ship. I want to add a wing. I want to add a wing to that wing. I want to flip it. So yeah, it's not as tactile and as fun as I took this weapon off the ship, turned it around, and put it back on. And it's a little bit slower than that because you're buttoning through menus and all that. But you can do all that stuff without the physical toys.
Cool.
And I think that's how I'd recommend playing it, though. At some point, it is way less expensive to play the digital version, but at the same time, it is still expensive if you want to unlock everything. I want to say
sure.
there's like $100 version of the game or something. And I don't know that I would pay that much for this. It's simple and fun and clever, and it looks nice, and but it still feels like it is. Whatever. I'm not that deep into it, but it feels very easy. And it feels like kind of a kid's game. I'm playing it on normal. You can always boost it up, I suppose.
That's fine.
And also like they did the Skylanders thing of like if your ship gets blown up, put another ship on.
Okay.
You should probably go buy another ship with real money, huh?
Oh, you can't pull the same ship off and stick it back on.
No,
come
because
on.
you have to go to a terminal and say repair all ships and pay some currency to get them all back.
I see.
But digitally, that's very easy to just go in the menu and say swap out your hull, and then you're playing again.
So with the Switch version, you've got like the portal is attached to the controller essentially.
Yeah.
Is that the same way with all the?
I believe
versions?
that. I believe
Okay.
that's the case. It might be Bluetooth in the other ones or
Weird.
something. But I think the way they
Man,
actually
I don't want that big bulky thing on a controller.
No,
Why not
it
just
makes
have a
it
base
makes it
station?
very front heavy. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel good in the hand with all that stuff built up. And I guess on other versions they're maybe like, hey, maybe play with this thing in your lap and use a controller. And I guess on the Switch even you can you could theoretically slot your Joy-Cons into it and then play with a Pro controller instead.
Okay.
And do it that way. But still, that's weird.
That's a weird choice not to just have like a Skylander style base.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I think that would have been, and I don't know exactly how it works on other platforms,
Right.
How that attaches to the console or how it talks to it or whatever. But I do know when I turned on the Switch version, it like downloaded a firmware update to the base, which was interesting.
Sounds like it's not super fun playing with that thing.
No, like I said, it's very it's a little front heavy and doesn't, it's not ergonomically sound, I would say. And I guess the last thing I say about just the looks of it is that the text is very small when you're undocked. Like it seems like a game that was made to be played on TV.
Damn it!
So when you undock it and you're playing it, you're going to these menus and it's like this is a little too small.
Know exactly
in
what
some
you're talking
cases.
about. Yeah, it seems like a lot of Switch versions are ports. They don't take UI elements into consideration.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge problem with Dark Souls on Switch playing it handheld, but yeah, you noticed that.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first game where I've noticed, the first Switch game I've played anyway, where I've noticed that the UI is maybe a little tiny.
Maybe it's a lot to expect developers to completely like re-architect their UI.
I mean,
handheld.
They did all this custom work for Star Fox stuff in this game.
Yeah, well, in this game because it's a new release,
and it's a new release, and also it's not like the Switch is some afterthought.
Yeah,
it is. It
kind of
selling
like the
quite well.
Flagship version of this game, right?
Well, because of the Star Fox stuff, which is like pretty well integrated. Like there's more Star Fox stuff than I thought, but at the same time, some of the early cutscenes where Fox and the crew show up feel like if you just cut them out. And like cut their dialogue out, you wouldn't miss anything in the story. Like it just feels like I'm going, yeah, let's get them. There's stuff where you like just chop it out and go. In a lot of cases, but there are some story missions, I guess, that there are some Star Fox specific missions available as well. And it's neat. I think it's a better game than I think you might have initially thought based on like, hey, look at this Toys to Life thing. It's going to be super kid friendly, and I think it is, but. It's still a dogfighting game. It's still like fun to do all that stuff. I wish that there were more control options for like what the sticks do, because I don't like the way they set up like what's your throttle and what's your turning and that sort of stuff.
I've seen a lot of people saying, which I kind of agree with, that like if this game had come out when I was a kid, I would have been obsessed with it.
It's badass.
Just,
it's totally like. But at the same time, I think the characters are maybe like I'm not loving the writing. Like some of the characters are a little lame.
Yeah.
Like it sometimes I'm trying to like find a comparison for it without just writing it off as like, it's for kids. But like they don't hit that Ratchet and Clank mark of like, this is a family friendly thing that you can still kind of like as an adult or something like that. Like it almost gets there a couple of times, but it feels like it falls short of achieving the kind of wider age range appeal
like
that you
genuinely funny across.
Yeah, right. Instead, it just seems like a lot of this stuff kind of falls flat.
And
or
this is like
these characters like overly earnest in a way that just
12th game this year with an influencer as a playable character.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, a real one?
No.
Oh,
No.
or like a ginned up fictional one.
One of the characters is like.
Oh, gotcha.
God,
have there been that many?
I think he is technically an extreme sports star.
Okay, who just happens to have a large social media
large
following.
social media.
What else? There's Forza,
Spider-Man,
NBA 2K Playgrounds 2.
Sure.
Hey,
I guess Crew 2 was last year, right?
That was this year.
This year.
I know it seems like ancient history, but I assure you,
that multiplayer mode still coming.
yeah, Mitsurugi.
Yeah, Mitsurugi has a lot of followers.
He's big on the gram.
He's got this like tea you can drink. It's called flat tummy tea. You'd love it.
Wow. Okay, I should check it
You
out.
should sign up.
Hashtag ad.
Yep.
So yeah, I think Starlink is pretty neat. And then also I have been playing a lot of fucking Black Ops 4.
Woo!
And
Sit rep us, Jeff.
that game is fucking good.
Yeah.
It is I would be playing it right now if I wasn't sitting here.
It's really good.
I am having a really, really good time with it.
I had a lot of fun with zombies this weekend.
I played some zombies, and I think that like my problem with the zombies mode in general, in wide scope, the mode in general is that it's whatever. It's a horde mode. Yeah. It's not my favorite horde mode, but it's fine. They deliberately obfuscate a lot of stuff about like, hey, here's weird secrets you can find that you'd probably want to do, but it's going to take some work to get there. Otherwise, you're just doing round after round after round until you die, and that gets boring.
Yeah.
So like the extra stuff about like, oh, I want to try to unlock this weird weapon by completing this arcane process of, well, you got to turn the power back on. You got to do this. You got to do this.
I had no idea this sort of stuff is even in there.
So that's what I was going to ask: is if they lead you to that stuff, or do you have to like look it up online first?
I think I had to look some stuff up online. So, but then the other catch with that is like, I'm not playing with friends.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 other people, and you can kind of tell that one of them is trying to do something, but you don't know what, and you feel like you're letting that person down by not holding up your end of the fucking secrets bargain.
Or even just
it just feels bad.
Along the same lines, but even simpler than that, just like lack of teamwork.
Yeah.
Kind of
everyone scatters.
Everyone scatters, and sometimes I'll just like in general, if there's 2 people over here and 1 person over there, I'll go with the 3 people or the 2 people to just kind of show like, hey, come on, we're all going to the same area.
Right.
And that 1 person will just go off even deeper on their own
Totally.
path.
And people are opening doors too early or too late, or you know. And I always feel bad because like I don't want to spend. You earn a currency that you can use to open up doors to get deeper in, or you can buy guns, and with that currency and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, do I need to save this up for some weird secret thing later? And I always end up having way more money than anybody else and feeling terrible about it. And then I have to think, like, is it just because I'm better at killing these guys than everybody else? Or are they just buying weapons left and right? Because I usually hold on to my starting weapon for kind of at least the first 10 rounds or so.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just this feeling of just, like, it's this co-op game that I don't think does, like I think that they could be smarter about ways to have players cooperate other than, hey, you can revive the other players.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff could be built a little bit better for a game that has straight up matchmaking. Obviously, if you're playing with friends and you're talking and whatever, it'll be fine. But all the voice I've heard playing zombies over the last couple of years has been someone going, don't kill that zombie. Don't kill, there's 1 left. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. I need to go to the bathroom. Don't kill him. Or like, I'm trying to build this Tesla machine, so don't kill that zombie because it'll start the next round, and we need to just keep this one up while I do these 9 things. And I don't know what any of those 9 things are, so I'm standing around going, what? Wait, what? And everyone else, and then someone finally just kills the zombie, and then goes, fuck! And you're like, all right, well, this sucks.
I immediately turned all voice chat off.
Yeah, you can also do that. That's I did that as well. But
I would say even on top of that, just the customization stuff is impenetrable for me.
In zombies?
Yeah. Dude, I played probably, let's say, 6 rounds of zombies over the weekend of varying lengths.
Yeah.
I still do not. I have like a very, very basic idea of what. There's talismans, there's power-ups, there's the things that are called like Thor and Odin and whatever. There's which
like the weapons, the big weapon.
There's trinkets, there's
and some of those are consumable. So they want you to they roll out the paid store in November.
And so I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna put this into my rotation, but I guess I just used it once and it was gone forever.
Yep, exactly.
It's just
there's a grind currency that you earn from playing it, and then they will roll out the paid store in November, and that will be the part where you can go like, oh, I'm going to start buying talismans or whatever. That's kind of how they've done it.
It goes back to what Brad, you and I were especially talking about, was kind of going in after not playing a Call of Duty for a while and just being greeted with like at minimum 1 screen with some text on it to tell you what is going on, and then
their tutorial for zombies is okay.
Yeah, as far as like playing the game, but.
Well, so it does at least describe like, hey, there are 4 vending machines or statues or whatever. You're going to build your loadout of your 4 perks, and then you can buy those perks at those statues.
Maybe that was the part I fell asleep during.
Yeah, maybe. Like that's the stuff that like the tutorial is good for. Is like, hey, these weird perks, you can put 4 of them on your loadout, but you don't just get them. You have to buy them from a vending machine
every round.
Every time you play the game.
Yeah. But if you die, you lose them.
And if you die, if you are bleeding out, you also are slowly losing those perks. You don't immediately lose all of them, but they bleed off you as you stay down.
Got it.
Are you also playing with randos?
Yes.
Okay. Just hit matchmaking and go.
Yep.
Yeah. And it seems like that's, I mean, yeah.
I tried giving it a shot one time. Got 4 other. Or
yeah,
three
we should give that thing an honest try.
Yeah, I want to play some Blackout with y'all.
That too.
We were talking about doing that. We should get around to that on one of these Mondays here.
Yes.
And
it's not an island though.
There's
an island.
Nuketown Island.
Nuketown is island.
Okay,
we'll just always drop there.
I got my first win.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
1 kill.
Yeah, but it's the one that mattered.
Yeah.
And I've been liking the competitive multiplayer quite a bit. I think the changes they made, like I said last week, the changes they made when you see them on paper or see them just out of the gate first time out, like they either don't seem major or they seem like a step back. But I think the manual healing is actually a really smart, cool thing that keeps you moving. Because when you use the fast stim on your loadout so that you can heal more frequently and it heal really quickly, and while you're shooting and all this other stuff, like you aren't hiding behind things waiting for the fucking red shit to disappear. You are hitting the button and moving forward, and it's propulsive in a way that I think it definitely wasn't last year. This is and the Blackout mode I think is tremendous. Like there's been a lot of stuff over the weekend of people like using Wireshark to pull it apart and getting really mad about the tick rate and all this other stuff.
Is that reflected in the gameplay though?
It's led to, so it sounds like that's, people jump a lot in this game. People jump around corners and shoot you. People jump out from a corner and get you. And that is a factor of like they are trying to move faster than the tick rate and faster than, like trying to get one over on you. Yeah. I have not had a problem with that. They jump out, I shoot them. It hasn't, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. And it's something that Treyarch has said that they're looking at, and some of it's like, oh, we maybe did some stuff for launch because the fucking trillion people are going to play this game, that as they taper off, we'll continue to optimize and do some other stuff. Right now, like when you look at the Blackout hoppers for, it's like solos, duos, quads, usually one of them goes to 100 players, and the other 2 are set to 88. It seems like whichever one is featured might be the 100-player one, as I think is how they're doing it. So
they may actually have some straight up server load concerns.
Yeah, so I imagine that's the sort of stuff that they will continue to work on as the game is out. They already put out their big update to add what's basically like a battle pass type stuff,
and a seasonal event as well.
Yeah, so they've always done the seasonal events, or they've been doing the seasonal events for the past couple of years, but it's always been like, hey, these crates are going to be the Halloween crates, and these are the leprechaun crates for St. Patrick's Day, and after 60 days, you're not going to be able to get these items anymore.
It's like Overwatch.
Yeah.
But now it's just a battle pass.
Right. Now it's like, hey, you leveled up your battle pass, you leveled up your gear stream, whatever it's called, to level 4, and now you have this emote and this emote. And if you get to level 199 in the next 50 days, you get... you unlock a Blackout dude, the Black Ops dude. What the fuck's his name?
Mason?
No, not Mason. It's the
numbers.
It's the CIA
That's
dude.
all I remember.
It's the CIA dude from Black Ops, not Woods or Mason. The third dude.
Shadow Man.
That's the one. No,
cigarette smoking guy. Can you if you just have the straight up $60 standard edition, can you access any of that stuff at all?
Yes, there is no benefit to like there was word early on or something that they had posted on their site implying that like maybe a season pass holder would get 10 levels for free.
Oh, okay.
That has not been the case.
Okay.
So it seems like just out of the gate, you're going to play to unlock this stuff.
Okay.
So the thing that will change is that in November they'll roll out the paid store, and that'll be like, oh, I don't want to level up my pass.
30 levels.
I don't know if they'll sell levels or if they'll just sell the stuff.
I think
they'll sell the stuff. They said they would have a rotating stock of things to just buy.
But the core
with
point,
your COD points.
Love COD.
Yeah.
The core point though is it'll be the same items that you could also grind for.
That's the theory.
Okay.
I'm sure it won't be one to one. There'll probably be some items that are
just when people talk about battle passes, you immediately envision like some kind of $10 sort of gatekeeping price.
So
like, I have to pay $10 to
it
start
does not
leveling.
have that. No,
okay.
it does not have that.
Okay.
And
that's cool.
So yeah, I don't know. And you level it. It seems like you level it a lot faster from Black Ops or from Blackout than from playing competitive.
Okay, that helps.
Totally.
That helps because of the fucking just paucity of customization options they launched with.
Yeah, and I unlocked a character. I actually found the I Ching coins and didn't take any circle damage.
Oh,
and, and got to the end of a match in the top 30, which is not hard.
Are those coins in set locations, or
no? It's just
around?
like it'll be like, oh, I opened a chest and then found some guns, and oh wait, these coins are here. Or oh wait, this destroyed armor piece is here.
Okay.
What I didn't even realize was I thought the zombies were in the same place every time, but sometimes you get to Asylum and there's no zombies. Sometimes you get to Lighthouse and there's no zombies.
I've never been to Asylum with no zombies.
I had it happen.
I thought Asylum was like the one constant, and then maybe the other places moved, but I don't know.
I don't know, but it was a hot zone because like 9 of us dropped there or something, and I was hiding because I didn't get a good like gun right out the gate, and so I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait this out.
Yeah.
And I was there for a while, and there was no zombies.
Well, there aren't. That's the other thing, is there aren't a ton of the zombies. So if other players are there shooting them, like you actually
But you hear the spooky
the
music.
zombie round noise, and then that will usually cause a respawn.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. We talked about it a lot last week. We'll do a review podcast pretty soon here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, It is more or less like that and Starlink are pretty much all I played this weekend.
Cool.
Like I want to play way more Black Ops 4.
This sounds pathetic, but my biggest complaint about that game is that I'm not good enough at it to have much fun right now, like especially in competitive. Like, holy shit, man. Like, I feel like I get dropped from 50 yards before I even see the guy. Like, it's just, people are just savage at that game.
Get closer to TV. Just inch a little closer to the TV. You see those guys from afar; they're a little bit distance away.
Maybe I just need to get better at headshots.
Maybe you need to get a 4K TV.
Zombies was helping me kind of just like get better at general movement, general like gun readiness, kind of like trying out each of the guns and getting better with like very little consequences because you don't die really in zombies until you lose. Kind of.
I mean, like I feel like I put a lot of shots on people, but they're mostly body shots, and maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I usually start at the body and work my way up, which is
that's what I've been trying to do.
The better players just start at the head.
I see
whereas
so
I'm
many.
like, these guns have recoil. I'll get there.
Yeah, sure. I guess I see so many kill cams where the guy who killed me came out of it with like 10 health left, or something. It's like I'm just barely not getting there in most of my engagements, and it's frustrating. But get good, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm liking it a lot.
Okay,
way more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
based on the stuff from the betas and the reveal event and all that. Like it's a really good time.
Seems like it's going over pretty well in general.
Brad, what have you been getting good at?
Nothing.
Oh,
nothing. I'm about to get good at going to the bathroom. I'm gonna.
We were gonna actually say like, maybe you should like just if you could improve your aim there as well.
Really gonna knock that one out. We'll talk about it.
You start at the middle and kind of work your way up, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
So we need to get one of those urinal games here installed.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. And we're back. The only game I can talk about this week, even though it's not out yet, is I fired up that Castlevania Requiem thing.
Oh, cool.
It's coming out later in the week. Yeah. Which is Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
2 classics.
Yeah, it's $20. Like, I had some, I don't know.
God, all these fucking Symphony of the Night games coming out.
Yeah. I started to say I had high hopes for what might be in this, but
yeah,
I don't know. Given the state of Konami these days, maybe that was misplaced.
Yeah, you might be right.
I don't know. You just look at like what Capcom's been doing with the Street Fighter collection and the Mega Man Legacy stuff, and you thought like, maybe there would be some goodies in there, but no.
Nothing, huh?
It is as bare bones as it could possibly be.
And then like based on the PSP ports. Right?
Yeah. I think, well, so there seems to be some confusion right now.
Yeah. It's like it's different voice acting.
It does have the new translation and the new voice acting from the PSP version.
Yeah.
And people were assuming it is just the PSP version, but now, so the PSP version had the playable Maria component, which some people are talking like may not be in this one.
Really?
That seems to, it's not out till I think Thursday is when it comes out.
So they've got time.
No, people don't know yet for sure is what I mean about, that's a whole separate playable character. That would be a fairly big deal.
Yeah.
The translation is much more competent,
but like
way less interesting as a result.
Yeah.
Like it just, it sounds like a straight, like kind of Baroque, very flowery language kind of thing. Mm-hmm. No miserable pile of secrets.
It's not why I'm here.
None of that stuff. Yeah.
Why are you?
But it seems to play fine. Like, they control fine. There's nothing to complain about, but it's just a real ugly menu that it boots up to.
I was gonna say also, like,
no frills.
It's like Sony has done the PSP to PS4 port stuff before with like Patapon and some of the other stuff. So maybe like I kind of figured that this was leveraging that work.
This could very well be that full PSP version. Didn't you have to unlock? I'm trying to remember, what was it you had to unlock in that PSP game? You remember that? Maybe it was original.
Rondo.
I think maybe it was original Rondo of Blood you had to unlock by beating the remade Rondo of Blood.
Not beating it. Oh man,
or doing something.
Yeah.
Like they didn't just give it to you.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
What's a rondo?
What is
it's
Rondo?
like a music. It's like a bullet.
musical thing.
miserable pile.
It's a musical thing.
It's like
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
It's like an aria or a symphony or
A requiem.
yeah. It's got an interlaced option.
Cool.
Which I saw Peter Brown sort of laughing about on Twitter.
Why?
I don't know, but when you turn it on, it flickers like fuck. Like it is like
Great.
headache inducing. How much it flickers when you turn on the interlacing.
Weird.
On a console that outputs over HDMI. Like why would that be in there?
To recreate the shitty looks.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's strange. I don't know.
It's got scan lines, it's got interlacing.
Yeah.
You can change the wallpaper, and that's about it. It's got quick saving built into both games.
That's cool.
Like it seems to work fine,
Okay.
but it's super bare bones. Like no concept art, no nothing.
I'm thoroughly confused.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
weird.
All right. So,
We should sit down and take a quick look at it. I'll show you the interlacing.
How quick?
30 seconds. No.
but we'd have to be connected to a CRT for it.
This is a PS4 exclusive. So like, how are you going to get analog video out of that thing? What is the point of interlacing?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, if it's recreating the look of interlacing as it appeared in the original versions of those games,
That's
that's an option.
That's not how it comes off to me,
interesting, but
though.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the way you're describing it, it doesn't sound like it actually.
It actually just looks unnatural.
Yeah.
And
Well,
kind of unpleasant to look at.
That's how I feel about fake scan lines.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yep. Well, it's got those too.
I like fake scan lines.
You're a cop.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Real subtle. They can be done right.
Yeah.
They can be done right.
You can.
I mean, it's competent if you want to play those games on a PS4, but I kind of wish they had done a little more.
I do. I've purchased that game about 4 or 5
Yeah.
times now.
Same.
I'm probably not.
Yeah, you're probably good if you don't need to hear the newer.
Oh no!
I've never played Rondo
I'll
of
buy
Blood.
this too.
the cleaner but less amusing translation.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth it then?
Rondo?
It's not a long game. Like it's the standard old Castlevania game length. So
Rondo's all right. Like I guess I was never like a huge fan of
like
it.
back in the day.
It's like I
good.
really like Symphony of the Night. I love
back in the
Symphony of
day, it was like legendary.
Right. It was good, and it never came to the U.S.
Yeah, and
so
that's
for a lot of
okay.
years, it was like it gained this mystique
Yeah,
by
people-
Is
virtue
it
of people
after
just not being
People
Symphony?
worshipped that game.
No, it
before.
was before. It was a
Okay.
PC Engine game.
Yeah.
Oh.
PCC like Engine CD.
Yeah, CD,
So
yeah.
it had like music and animation that standard like card games could
I
not
see.
handle back then, which is a big part of why people liked it.
Yeah.
But the bigger part was it never came out over here, so
Right.
people
So
could like
assumed it was the most tremendous game ever made.
People could put it up on this pedestal of like, oh, it's so mysterious.
charge
'cause
$200 for it
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
It was like Radiant Silvergun in that respect.
yes.
Like it was one of those games,
Absolutely.
one of those fucking obscure Japanese games that.
It's like, and I don't mean that to mean that game or Radiant Silvergun. I'm not saying they're bad games.
Yeah, they're good,
but they took on an aura that maybe I would not
Like,
have placed upon
those
them.
were games that I would not have been aware of if I had not gotten onto early internet back then.
Yeah.
And gotten in touch with people who were importing games
Right.
and heard them just gush about them. And I was like, man, that must be something amazing.
Ikaruga was in that boat in a lot
Yeah.
of ways too.
Yeah.
And then that eventually came over.
Yeah, like I feel like off the back of Radiant Silvergun, that game was more widely available.
You're right.
Because it had that prestige.
Yeah.
I mean, Ikaruga, that was easily accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas I think Radiant Silvergun was still
Yeah.
going for a couple $100 on eBay as of a
Right.
few years ago.
Yeah,
Well, it came
probably,
out on XBLA, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Anyway, I think Rondo of Blood has been out there in other forms.
I mean, the PSP version came.
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
It's-
Like it's not the
There's,
first.
there's stuff.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's worth $20 to play through a 90-minute long, pretty standard
Yeah, I'll
platformer.
pass. There's enough
It's
games
got some
coming
alternate
out.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some neat
I don't mean to
ideas.
say it's a bad game.
No,
It
it's
is
fine.
a very good game.
It's fine.
But, yeah.
Also, the intro, I forgot how fucking anime it is.
Mm.
Like just the
With Rondo?
some real
Yeah.
anime ass Castlevania. But yeah, that's a pretty no frills package all around.
Please,
Yeah.
it's Transylvanimation.
Okay, thanks
God damn it.
for that.
God damn it.
Okay, let's move on to the news. Okay. I'm sorry.
Alucard Captor Sakura.
Give me a moment.
Okay.
My Simple Note app has not synced
Okay, I'll think of more
this
of
week's
these.
document.
Um,
There it is. I'm sorry.
okay, go
But
ahead.
go ahead. What do you got?
No, I
No?
no.
Vampire Hunter D.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Sure. Why not? You know what? Why not?
Yeah.
We're here. Why not?
That's the theme of the show. That's our motto. We're here. Why not? Okay. First story I've got here. Oculus CEO and co-founder, I never am quite sure how to pronounce his name. Brendan
Uribe, I think.
Brendan Uribe has left Facebook. And TechCrunch is reporting that it's because Facebook has canceled development of the Rift 2, which he was heading up development on.
Yeah. He'd kind of become the head of PC VR, I guess, after the sale of Oculus, and he was kind of heading up that division.
Yeah.
If that story, if I read that story right.
Yeah. But TechCrunch cites a source close to the matter who told them, quote, that Uribe and the Facebook executive team had, quote, fundamentally different views on the future of Oculus that grew deeper over time. Mm-hmm. And Uribe wasn't interested in a, quote, race to the bottom in terms of performance.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, they're pursuing what was it, the Oculus Gear Quest.
Yeah, Quest just got announced. That's the $399 standalone headset.
Right, and that's
like 2 weeks ago.
Built in, don't have to set up any tracking pylons.
Yeah, don't need a PC.
You don't need a PC, and that's... Yeah, exactly. That's a fundamentally different business and a fundamentally different approach than, hey, let's make a higher end version of this expensive headset we already made.
Yeah.
And I think the response they got from Facebook about this doesn't necessarily deny the cancellation of Rift 2, but it also kind of says like, oh yeah, we are planning a successor to the Rift.
Yeah, the Facebook's comment to them was, while we can't comment on our product roadmap specifics, we do have future plans and can confirm we are planning for a future version of Rift. But that could mean anything.
They could,
Yeah,
they could be putting the Rift name on some other thing. That's
hey, they're sitting there going like, oh, our roadmap goes a long way, and eventually there is another PC headset on it. But it really does seem like coming out of their conference that they just had that the Quest is the focus, and I think it makes sense to try to get VR into the hands of more people by eliminating those hurdles.
Yep.
So as much as I want high-end PC-based VR. Simply because that is going to be where the best experience lies in terms of just graphical performance or whatever.
Not everybody needs
it. And I think that, a standalone headset makes total sense. I think it's like, that's how you get more people interested in it conceptually. Mm-hmm. It's just make it
the show a friend thing.
Exactly.
You can literally just hand it to
put
somebody.
This fucking thing on. Yeah. And that's I think what VR needs right now more than, hey, it's just a better version of the thing we did.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a different market that solidifies, I think, some of the stuff they did with the Gear VR and kind of the, hey, drop a phone in it type shit.
Yeah.
This seems like the right way to go for them for now. And they eventually, of course, they loop back around and go, hey, here's a better version of a PC headset.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you?
Sure.
But I don't think
not for a while.
Yeah, I don't think the market for PC-based VR is going to be big enough anytime soon to do the things they want to do and attract the numbers they want to attract. So this changes it up, and
I have no idea how well the Vive Pro has sold, but I sure don't see anybody talking about having one.
Of course not. It's fucking super expensive for
$1,200.
It seems like and maybe this is just me as someone who looks at Steam a lot and tries to figure out what's coming out and all that, but it seems like the drip of VR releases has started to slow. Mm-hmm. Which in some ways is good because I think there was just a lot of fucking crap coming out. So if people are being more thoughtful with it and all that, then great. But it seems like Sony has done well with their slate of VR games. Between Firewall and Astrobot alone,
Astrobot
is two higher quality, just pieces of software than most of the stuff
that's one of the best VR games I've played. Period.
Yeah. And so where does that leave the PC VR market? It's an enthusiast thing. It's a niche of a niche of a niche, and so I think taking this bigger swing at trying to find this more affordable all-in-one solution is totally the right way to go.
I can attest, having bought that Windows mixed reality headset.
Yeah,
you have to plug it into a PC, but just to not having to set up a bunch of external shit to make it track.
Yep,
that alone is huge.
I unplugged my Rift
really
recently. Last week, I was like, this thing is a hassle to keep plugged in. Yep. It is every time I boot my PC, it gives me shit about hey, some USB device you plugged in didn't work.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm overloading one of the buses on that thing. So I was just like, I'm going to unplug these two sensors and I just don't need it. I don't use it often enough. I'll still keep tabs on it. If something cool comes along, it's not that hard to hook it back up. But
Also, just from the standpoint of room clutter.
Yep.
Like not having a bunch of cords running around the room to little tower things.
As I have this was a lot of this was precipitated by there being a cat in the home, a second cat in the home. It's like this cat likes to eat shit, so I'm not using this thing at all. So I'm gonna unplug it.
Put the shit away.
There's always more shit, as it turns out, with 2 cats in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
So totally, but I also think that there's still room down the line, or at some point, for like a bigger PC-based VR solution, because I think that stuff can be cool too. Yeah. And as the technology advances on the all-in-one solutions, it only helps improve the stuff hooked up to PCs and vice versa, and so whatever. I think all of it moves it forward. And I think that just as a consumer product, the all-in-one thing makes way more sense right now. I'm curious to try that thing and just see what the actual quality of the experience is. If it's like on par with like PSVR in terms of just like soft, like just the output of the games, the graphical. I know they put out stats, but I haven't dug into them too much just to see like what is this stuff even going to look like? Because so many VR releases are abstracted in a way that they can definitely run just fine on an all-in-one solution. You don't necessarily need a 1080 or 2080, whatever, to make this stuff look right.
And phones are getting more and more, powerful as well.
Totally. So if they're throwing those processors into that thing, like,
does the Quest? Do you know if the Quest use the exact same?
I think it will use Oculus Touch controllers. I don't know if they have come up with a second or different controller or what the deal is there, but I believe that it will use the existing touch controllers.
Theoretically, you could get some of those same games coming over.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Walking Dead, remember that?
The show or the
comic?
Yeah,
comic.
That one.
Okay.
And also the television show.
It's weird because Shane dies in like issue 3, but then in the show he's
there for a while.
It's too long.
Too long. I know.
So Skybound Games is out there talking some more about this kind of still ongoing negotiation they have with Telltale.
Mm-hmm.
Still not finalized, but they are now saying that they are hoping to get episodes 1 and 2 of the final season back on sale by the end of this month, which is basically a week from now. And they are hoping to have episode 3 out for sale by the end of the year.
Okay.
Would that be the last episode, or is it 5?
I thought it was
It's always been 5. I don't know. I assume that was their plan for this one as well. I don't know that for a fact.
I wanted to say I read somewhere that it was 4 this time around, but I guess
you might be right.
I guess I don't
actually
know.
That is possible. But in terms of the human aspect of the story, the big news here is that they say they are talking to a significant portion of the actual team that made those episodes.
That's cool.
To get them on board. I'm sorry, who is this guy? I lost his title. The rep from Skybound Games. I believe he is the head of the company, but I can't find his title in this mess of text. But he said, at this stage, we're still in discussions with various members of the team, and I met over 40 of them last week to discuss our plans moving forward. They know what we're trying to do, and as soon as the lawyers have done their thing, we'll be able to speak more openly. And he kind of went on and basically said, like, the only people who will not be eligible to come back and work on this are people who have already accepted positions elsewhere.
Right.
Okay. So,
yeah, I just hope it's a long-term deal of sorts. Like a contract deal is not going to.
I bet. That's exactly what it is. Unfortunately.
It's hard to imagine them saying like, hey, we decided that this is not the final season and we're going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
But they've got a game division, so maybe there's a chance that some of these people roll onto other projects. Like, I don't know.
And I mean, like you said, it's helpful for the people who haven't found a long-term solution yet. If they can, another guaranteed 2-3 whatever months of work, it's like, I'll take it because I literally have no other option.
Right,
but
it's better than 0.
Yeah. Help a bit in the meantime. You can build relationships and try and get something more permanent.
This was the CEO of Skybound Games, Ian Howe, making these comments. He did further clarify that anybody who is hired on to work on this will be employees of Skybound Games, not Telltale. Even though Skybound is in LA and Telltale is up here in the Bay Area, he says it's not a commute that would be practical. We'll one way or another find a place for the team to work that's practical for them.
San Rafael's full of empty buildings, like North Marin County, Sonoma County is plenty of warehouse space you could drop a team into, I bet.
And then so this was
airplane hangars out there.
Yes, of course. Some of this came through an AMA on Reddit, and the creative director of the final season, Kent Muddle, chimed in on some of that stuff. And He said, we're currently intending to make the game as it was planned to be made before Telltale shut down. I am beyond pumped to get a chance to finish the season. I could not have hoped we'd be so lucky to have Ian and the rest of Skybound come in and give us this opportunity, for which I'm extremely grateful. I mean, but the main point there is, sounds like they're not necessarily changing any plans creatively.
Right.
If they get all this stuff put together. It will be more or less as envisioned. In other video game employment news, Jason Schreier over at Kotaku has been teasing or alluding to a story about Rockstar he's been working on.
Yeah, it sounds like he's been talking to a lot of people for a very long time.
Yeah, and he's been dropping hints about it for like 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And that story ran like moments before this podcast started.
Right.
Which I have not had a chance to read through yet. I know you looked at some of it.
I read it this morning.
Yeah.
It sounds like he talked to, I want to say it was something like 80-ish current and former Rockstar employees.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere between 70 and 80, somewhere, do the math on it. And, a lot of this, I think, just is kind of more and more accounts of stuff we had already kind of heard. And some rebuttal, like Rockstar actually set him up with some interviews with current employees.
Oh, they did.
And so he talked to some people there, talked to their head of publishing, Jennifer Colby. And it's you should if you're interested in the story, you should read that, because it feels like a fairly definitive, exhaustive look at the different issues around working at Rockstar, and some of the other side of it too. You have some people saying like, oh well, we work hard, but I love it. Like you definitely hear a lot of phrases that I feel like. I feel like I've heard a lot of phrases over the last week, but this and some of them show up in this story about the kind of like someone describing it as kind of a cultish mentality of working at Rockstar and that sort of stuff that I feel like I've definitely heard from former Rockstar employees. I saw someone invoke the term Eye of Sauron, because so what happened is that Rockstar HR, I guess, kind of sent out something saying like, hey, you can give your accounts of working here. Feel free to be honest. You won't be retaliated against.
So there's
which is not it's like, oh, well, great. I'm going to get out there and talk about how much I hate my job. Like it's not going to lead to honest discussion one way or the other. But then, you saw one particular, I saw someone say the Eye of Sauron, and I've heard people use that phrase over the years when talking about when this particular person shows up at your studio, the Eye of Sauron is upon you. Like, don't you fucking be there and fucking get the work done. And it's there because your game is getting finished up, or your game is going sideways, or something. It is not good when you're in that boat. And it's interesting seeing people use those phrases, or some of those phrases that you've heard kind of tossed around, half jokingly, I guess, from other people throughout the years. You start connecting a lot of dots, I guess. So yeah, it's a lot of stories about like, hey, this is what the overtime situation was at our studio, because obviously like Rockstar has a ton of different locations. Like it sounds like the Lincoln studio was maybe getting it pretty hard.
I believe that was mainly a QA studio from what I read. Sounds like they have moved like literally on Friday in a company meeting as a result of this hubbub, like from a culture of kind of expected overtime to more of an optional overtime.
So now that all the games are done, great. Good timing. Hopefully they'll remember that when it comes time to ramp up on another project.
Yeah, like the story has been all over the place because
whatever. I'm sure that there's like Red Dead Online is probably still happening in a major way in full swing somewhere. So there's still work being done.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, they supposedly lifted the veil on social media. So like there's tons of tweets out there from employees of different studios.
And it's a lot of the stuff we talked about last week.
Defending the company and saying that
or saying like, hey, we work long, hard hours, but I love doing it. This work is hard but rewarding, and some of the stuff we talked about, like, hey, if you make it through this ringer, you've got Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead on your resume, and you can kind of walk in wherever because people will know you've been through it.
we've got one email that came in, from an employee of Rockstar that I will read right now. They asked to thank you. They asked to remain anonymous.
So I guess we'll say like we don't necessarily know, right? Or do we know for sure that this is a Rockstar employee?
I didn't cross-reference the name. They offered verification.
Okay, so we'll take it at face value, I guess.
They wrote into both podcasts and openly offered, like, hey, I'll provide proof of my employment if you want it. So, yes, take it at face value, but it seems fairly legit. Just wanted to reach out because of the whole 100-hour work week controversy. I'm a current employee at Rockstar. I've been here for years now, and I can say that I absolutely love it here. I just want that to be heard because a lot of the narrative is skewed by disgruntled ex-employees, like that kind of...
Yeah. I feel like the Schreier's story has a lot of specifics in it about, different, it's one of those things of like, hey, no one's ever demanded I work 100 hours. It's like, yeah, but the culture kind of dictates that if I want to be
everyone
seen
else on your team
doing my job,
hours.
that I better be here on the weekend, or you better be at the New York office in case the Hausers come through, is one of the things that's alleged in Schreier's story as well. It just sounds bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, the story is definitely worth reading. It's a fascinating look at a company that you don't get a lot of fascinating looks at, but I feel like the company's been around long enough now and enough people have left there that a lot of the stories that we've heard in some cases we've heard firsthand stuff, but from people who do not want to go on the record about it. Some of those people, in fact, have gone on the record with stories we've heard in the wake of all this, which has been fascinating to see. But a lot of secondhand reports and thirdhand reports and stuff like that you've heard about Rockstar over the years are starting to come out, or things that line up with stuff that you heard as rumor or such is starting to line up with a lot of these takes.
Yeah. And
so it's very easy as someone who has been doing this for a long time and hearing a lot of stories about stuff like that to look at this and go, okay, yeah, this lines up with most of what I've heard. Yeah. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who do like working there. I don't think it's, I don't think it's fair to paint it as like everyone there is on a death march and everyone there wants to get out desperately and all this other stuff. But like a lot of the policies and stuff about like, hey, we don't like to credit people unless they were here when the game shipped. They did put up a website today.
Oh, yeah.
They put up on their official site today. They put up a list of names attached to Red Dead 2, and I guess some of those people are no longer with the studio. So they're, at least putting up a list of names of people who theoretically worked on this game. But it didn't sound like they were necessarily ending that policy in terms of the in-game credits, but also a game that's in development for that many years and that many people touch it. Like, how long can your credits get? And the video game industry still does not have, among other things, a really good crediting standard, which is something that a union would actually probably be good at getting.
Yeah. I'll finish this email just for completeness. This person, I should mention, this person doesn't say which studio they work at or in what discipline, but the culture, attitude, and strive for perfection are unmatched and align with my goals. Additionally, I feel much more at home here than I would elsewhere. For a lot of us, it has been very disheartening to have what has essentially been a stellar press run being marred by a quote taken out of context. We absolutely are not working 100-hour weeks, nor is it mandated or peer pressured, and I'd say it's hard to find anyone getting close to that. Things may have been bad in the past. I wasn't around for the Rockstar Wives thing, so I can't speak to that. But it's been a heck of a lot better these past years I've been here. Communication between studios has been far better in the past, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Yes, a lot of us work hard, but I, along with many others, do it because we know we're working on something special. We are not just doing what the corporate overlords say. Morale is definitely high. I came here because I wanted to know that the hard work I've always put into things would result in a great accomplishment in the space instead of wasted on something that is not well received.
I think that's valid. I think some people do work that way and they want to.
And it makes sense that people like that would attract other people like that. You can build a team around, like, especially if you're a manager and you're a very hard worker like that and you want to bring like-minded people around you. Like, it's no surprise to me that there are people at Rockstar who think this is totally blown out of proportion and just like are there to be, workhorses and just like they love their job, they're doing the thing. It's the problem that comes with not everyone is like that.
Obviously nothing justifies a forced death march, but look at the collective inhalation that is happening in this industry right now as this game prepares to launch. If you work on one of these games, like, you are going to be part of something that is an event. Right. So I guess I can see that aspect of it, at least the way this person is describing it. Again, not defending any kind of work culture or mismanagement or anything.
Yeah, like that can all still be true, and the culture can still be bad.
Oh those are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand how this person is coming at it.
Right. And I mean, whatever, I have felt that way about what we do or what I have done over the years. Like fuck man, I don't work a lot of 40-hour, maybe more now that I'm married. But fuck man, like the first few years we were building this site, every holiday at GameSpot when we were trying to review every single game.
Yeah, like holidays and E3 at GameSpot are the fucking gold standard of overwork.
And they don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore.
Definitely not.
But like there were definitely holiday seasons where, and like poor me, whatever. I'm not, but like whatever. I've worked 100-hour weeks.
Yeah,
trying to fucking get game reviews done in November and October and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, and I think it can happen for a lot of different reasons, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah, like E3 would be 6 or 7 a.m. till like midnight or 2 a.m.
Right,
like for a week. Yeah, depending on what was going on,
and or like it would be like, hey, for the first for basically like all of October and the first 2 weeks of November, basically from October 1 to Thanksgiving, you're going to be working every weekend.
Yeah.
Or, like even still, like we don't play a lot of games in the office. I take everything home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I think work is broken like across the board. Like it's not just Rockstar. It's not just the video game industry. It's
especially now, like, not to get on too much of a tangent, but you see laws being passed about, reducing in Europe, not in America, about reducing like not making it that you have to check email after work or be on Slack or, just like, because we're plugged in now, it's even easier for your boss to be like, hey, check this out.
This company has instituted a policy where like to check your work email on your phone, you have to agree to like a mobile device management. It's pretty common corporate policy. And I have said, no, I don't want anyone other than me having domain over what's on my phone. But it hasn't led to me going like, I guess I can't check my email at work. It's led to me going like, I need to find more devious ways that'll let me check my email on my phone.
Just do an end
to
run
get around this,
Yeah.
And that's probably not good.
No.
Like it makes me think back to those days of GameSpot. I mean, we're talking 10, 12, 14 years ago.
Yeah. I'm talking about today.
Well, no, I know, but
yes,
I'm saying
yes,
like
yes.
these insane work weeks that we would have back then, like trying to think how to describe it. Like there is a certain esprit de corps that springs up in the midst of this insane.
It's literally we're going to war.
Yes,
in some years it literally was a speech about we're going to war.
Like I'm not going to quite go as far as to say that you would sit there and trick yourself into believing it.
Yeah,
but there is a way to make yourself feel good about.
You get caught up in it.
You absolutely get caught up in it, and then the downside of that can be there. And this was something that over the years there. And again, this is a long time ago. There was an attitude of like, there are a million people who want to do this job. You are all incredibly replaceable.
Yeah.
And so that then fed into the other end of it of just like, I gotta put everything I got into this because there are a million people nipping at my heels, or that's or that will do this for half the amount of money, and all like all this other stuff. There's an infinite number of college kids that'll do your work, guy.
For both positive and negative reasons, it's definitely possible to convince yourself that this extreme unhealthy work culture is a good thing to be a part of.
It's also easy to do that when you're like, let's say in your 20s and single and don't have a wife and children.
Yes. No, I had someone tell me like, hey, this brand is this site is always going to be powered by, young single men, that don't have a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not great. But
all that
aside, like that doesn't, I'm not like fucking like, oh yeah, man, we had it was badass. Like,
yeah, all that said, I don't think we had it anywhere near as bad as the stories you've heard about from a lot of developers crunching.
Definitely not.
Like
I've swapped stories
1,000 times worse.
I've swapped stories with some devs over the years and had a couple of them say, oh man, you guys actually work the way we do. Oh man, holy shit. Like not realizing the hours that went into it. And I've had others go like, well, let me tell you fucking what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so, whatever.
I mean, like you review an 80-hour game, it might be 2 weeks of your life that you're spending all your time with that thing.
Yeah,
but
not
like you hear about
a forced
months, six straight months of 7-day weeks or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's
I don't necessarily want to put what we did or went through or whatever, like on that same, in that same realm, but But I
saying
will
that we
say that
can understand
I
crunch here and there,
I understand. I understand the idea of like feeling really good about it.
Yeah.
Totally. Like there was
feeling like you're
there's
part
a
of a
sense of pride,
team
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
doing serious work.
and like we're all
is
here
a good
getting it
feeling.
done.
like
And
there was that rah fist pumping attitude like going into E3 every year.
Yeah.
Just like we're gonna fucking go out there and slay the enemy on the battlefield.
no one told me to take modafinil to stay up for 2 days straight and write about stuff at TGS that year.
No, your doctor told you that, right?
I just wanted to try it to see if I could do it. That's not, that's not a company telling me to do it. It's the culture going like, no, I got to get these fucking stories up, man, or else someone else is going to. It is what it is. So yeah, but like the Schreier story is really interesting, but also like I read through it and went like, yep, okay, yeah, no, this all
checks out.
This all checks out with the stuff you've
lines
heard
up with what you've
recently,
heard,
and even stuff not recently, and I think some of the narratives you see in the story about like, hey, this was way worse before.
Okay.
It doesn't sound awesome now for a lot of people. So to hear people say it was way worse before, you're like, fuck, man. Yeah. So that's
Was it?
I don't really know what to say.
Was it the Rockstar wives or was it the EA wives?
It was both.
EA
spouse.
I don't
It was
remember.
EA spouse.
EA
It's the
spouse.
Rockstar wives.
I'm almost positive EA spouse was
Before.
first by
Yeah.
a number of years. I think.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Rockstar thing was probably around the first Red Dead, right? Wouldn't it have been?
Yeah. I think that was it was wives of people that worked for the San Diego studio.
Man, Googling Rockstar wives is not a good way to find information on this subject.
Tell me about Sammy Hagar's wife.
Yeah. Does she
tell
love
you-
tequila? Cabo
Tell you,
Wabo.
tell you what
That's her
Jerry
name weirdly
You want to
enough.
know what Jerry Hall is up to,
Yes. Yes, I do.
or Pamela Anderson? But-
Not less so.
I would say she's probably the ultimate rock star wife.
Let me add Red Dead.
Pamela
to this
Anderson?
search. Okay, yeah, here it is. Yes, it was around the launch of, or somewhere close to the launch of the first Red Dead, that the Rockstar Wives stuff came out. And I think EA Spouse was like 2004-ish.
That sounds right. I guess I don't know for sure, but I guess that's the thing is like reading through this, like it doesn't sound surprising, but that I think that's
Well,
to contextualize that it doesn't sound
you've been
surprising for
hearing
Rockstar,
stories
but
for
yes,
a while.
but also it doesn't sound surprising for the video game business.
Yeah.
If anything, like it's almost depressing and disappointing how many studios you hear this about, even ones that are very highly respected. Like you heard about Naughty Dog, like CD Projekt, like the
Right. And for how long
like
we've
the
been hearing
brightest
about this
luminaries
sort of stuff,
of game development all seem to.
It's not just that it's widespread; it's just that it's still going on, that it's still an issue. I understand crunch. Like at Game Informer, we had a magazine to publish every single month, and there was always that looming deadline.
Definitely
and there's
heard the stories about magazine deadlines
yeah.
for people who worked magazines.
Like totally. I guess the thing I would like, granted, I've only worked on 3 issues of a magazine, so not that long. But like, it was definitely a case of like, okay, for these 5 days, we are finalizing the book, and everyone's going to be here till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It was fun because we were in Berkeley, and I got to see a naked man walking down the street because it was Berkeley. And
good
at
for
19, that was maybe the first time I'd seen that. And I
Well,
was like,
that'll
what
happen
the
any time of
fuck?
day,
No,
to be fair.
now it's like
That dude's the
fucking
mayor
whatever.
now, actually.
That's me. I'm out there fucking nude 3 days a week.
Yeah, first time I ever slept at a job was my college magazine.
Yeah. We slept at the office.
Oh, yeah.
Launching video games spot, launching the console stuff. Like we had to get a hotel because we were commuting in from so far away, and we were getting in kind of late because we were working such long hours that eventually the company just paid for us to have a hotel in San Francisco for like that month or something like that. And there were still a couple of nights where we slept in cabinets in the office and stuff like that.
That's impressive.
No, it's not. It's like, yeah,
No, I mean,
yes and no.
I mean, impressive that
Yeah.
you could find a way to do that as well.
It was cool sleeping at our college magazine because we were right next to the 24-hour subway.
That does sound
I know
okay.
which subway you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, see, that sounds good.
It was great.
I don't know. Like at some point, it just sounds like people swapping war stories or something like that. And I feel like that's a lot of when you talk to longtime developers in the video game industry. Like you'll that stuff will come out, and it's been coming out from a lot of different studios for over the years. And this sounds like parts of Rockstar's infrastructure are particularly bad about some of that stuff, and hopefully, this coming out inspires more change there.
Yeah.
And then you start to back into the economics of it and go like, well, what does that change look like And at some point, can you make a game of like the scale of a typical Rockstar game? Like if you just throw more people at the problem, you then have to add a ton of like layers of management to the middle of it to make sure all those people are on track. Like more people doesn't automatically solve the problem.
Yeah.
So is it take a longer time to be smarter about it? I don't actually know what the solution. If you want the end result to continue to be a game at that scale,
yeah.
I just don't know. Like, and I'm not.
That's one of the things that strikes me about this situation in particular is that I think it's the first Rockstar project where every studio in the company worked on it simultaneously, right?
I think.
Whereas they used to have different studios making different games.
It was like, okay, well, if you saw the blue Rockstar logo, it was this. If it was this,
it's like, North is making GTA, right. San Diego's making Red Dead, whatever. But from what I can tell, it seems like every studio has just been making this game for the last 5 years. So, and this guy even talks about in this email that we were sent. Studios are communicating more, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Like, it seems like the leadership has more of an opportunity now to affect like top-down change across the whole company.
Right.
Now that they seem to be unified in this one pursuit.
So having the leadership out there giving interviews talking about 100-hour work weeks, maybe not the way to go.
Right. But, hopefully in light of all the hubbub, they would be more reflective.
It comes back to what we were saying about like getting caught up in it, though, and like feeling like you're part of that team. It's just like, it's a celebration that we have this.
It's very easy to romanticize.
Yeah. So the last thing, this
camaraderie, and
the last thing this person that wrote to us said is what stuck out to me about that. I wanted to know that the hard work I've always put into things would result in a great accomplishment in the space instead of wasted on something that is not well received. Like that's
he's out on that. I guess hope the game's good.
That's what I meant about it being easy to convince yourself that all this is worth it.
Right.
Like when you feel or when you agree in the group that the thing you are making is special and worth it, like it becomes a lot easier to subject yourself to like extreme conditions and justify it to yourself.
Yeah.
It is an ongoing problem.
I don't know. Like whatever, that game's going to ship. It's going to sell fine. Like I don't know. And there's a bit in the story about because most people are salaried employees. There's no concept of overtime, so more and more of your hours get filed under there's going to be a bonus when the game sells well, and you want that bonus to be big to try to equal out what you went through or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating story that I think is worth reading if you've been at all interested in any of the labor stuff around video games.
Yeah,
it's a pretty exhaustive account from what he says is a ton of different sources. So
it feels
pretty wide net.
It feels like another milestone on this very long road to some kind of lasting, overarching change in the industry, which has not happened yet.
You say that, but this game's going to come out. It's going to sell. People are going to be talking about horse balls or whatever the fuck is the exciting thing in the game. And
horse balls.
Oh yeah, probably horse balls.
Cool.
And 6 months later, will anyone remember any of this?
Well, the change is never going to come from the audience. Like that's
right. Exactly.
Totally. Unfortunately, it's going to have to come from the organizational efforts of the people doing the work.
Yes,
but that's what I mean. Like,
sure, maybe this gets this is one step closer to like, hey, maybe unionization to protect the people making these games makes more sense, and some more changes around that. You're right. That and then that becomes a topic that I no longer know enough about to like weigh in on. Does that actually solve the problem? It's probably the right move.
Well, again, the people doing the work know best
exactly
what is involved and what they need. But yeah, that story's up on Kotaku. I have not had a chance to look at it yet, but
it's long.
Yes,
give it a look.
Yes. Y'all want to talk about old games for a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah. Are they good?
How old?
Good one.
Let's say like late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
To start.
That was a time.
Okay.
Sega Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
Sonic was on that thing.
Yes, he was.
It's true. That is very true.
So was Knuckles.
Y'all like that? Y'all like that Yamaha?
So was Kid Chameleon.
Vector Man.
Rage.
Y'all like that Yamaha YM2612 chip?
I do.
Oh, it's the only thing I listened to.
Oh man, the drums on that thing.
Yeah,
the bass lines.
A lot of really good Yes.
Analog, makers of the Super NT and also the NT Mini.
Yep.
And the Analog NT.
Makers of FPGA-based
Yes.
console simulator.
They're giving that treatment to the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
It's called the Mega SG. They have announced it. It is basically the Super NT for the Genesis.
Right.
Great.
It's
Okay.
like,
Cool.
pretty much the same thing. Like, it uses the same chip. It's going to have more or less the same feature set. I mean, there are a few
Does
differences.
it come
here
in
and
4
there.
colors?
Yes, they're totally doing that.
Do I get an analog audio out?
Yes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a headphone jack.
It doesn't have a headphone slider from the looks of it. But
damn it.
First of all, I think we may have talked about this before, but the guy who runs Analog
What's his name?
He's got
is a passionate guy.
He's got views about emulators, and how this thing is not one, but that I don't think I actually. I think that is my least favorite thing about this product and or service is their attitude about emulation, and saying that this thing is way better. It's
Because it's original hardware?
because it's FPGA based and not software based emulation. You are still technically, if we go back to the dictionary definition of emulation,
Right.
it is just a different implementation of the Genesis hardware, the same way a software-based emulator would be. The thing that you get is obviously you are closer to the metal. You're not going through a PC running Windows or some other OS, so latency is a lot easier. Like the Super NT is a cool device. Also, it launched with incompatibilities that they had to update via firmware. So it's not like it's some perfect device out of the box that is like some amazing, like it is not infallible. It is still being made by people who and still trying to emulate the behaviors of the Sega Genesis. And with that, comes a process. So like the way that they position themselves compared to the emulator authors of the world, the hobbyist emulation community and stuff like that, I think is uncool. Especially because they've traded information over the years. Some of the people involved in doing that sort of stuff. Like, one would not exist without. I don't think this FPGA stuff would be happening if not for the work of a lot of hobbyist emulation enthusiasts over the years.
So you think this is more of just a matter of paying the respect that's due and not a technical thing so much?
Yeah, I think I think that thing stands on its own as a cool thing without them having to shit all over stuff that's out there currently.
I mean,
I think that's a bad look.
With all due respect to the guy, Christopher Tabor, I believe is his name.
Wait, fucking what?
Wait, are you familiar with him?
Yeah,
he comes off as a little bit of a lunatic.
Okay.
That can't be
in
the
some
same
of his
Tabor that I know and love.
I'm trying to. There's a bunch of, like, for instance, talking about the analog audio output, the quote he gave to Polygon. It's got an analog headphone jack because that's Sega as fuck, and there's no way we couldn't do that. Like the whole interview about this product sounds like that.
I mean, yeah, you could. You don't have to. I don't know.
Anyway, so out of the box, it will do Genesis and Mega Drive games. It's also going to come with a cartridge adapter for Master System.
Yeah.
So the implementation in the FPGA will run Master System games right out of the box. It's also got a connector that will work with both models of the Sega CD, which is a big deal.
That's cool. You will hook up an original Sega CD to this, and I wonder, is the 32X mentioned at all?
Yes. So
I assume you can plug in a regular ass 32X.
No. So the 32X does not work at all, and it's because of he sort of talks around it. I don't know exactly what the specifics are, but he talks about the amount of analog signals involved with the 32X.
Right. So when you hooked up a 32X, you actually had to hook a video cable from the Genesis to the 32X and then out of the 32X to your TV.
So that must be exactly what
it was weird analog pass-through stuff. So I get, okay, that makes sense.
In this case, you're doing HDMI out.
Yep.
These things don't have analog out.
Yes.
So
that is more challenging than thought.
So here's what he says that is kind of interesting, but we'll have to wait and see if it bears fruit. He says, what we want to do, and no promises on this, very critically no promises on this, but ideally what I would love to do is just implement the fucking 32X in FPGA.
Right.
And then you don't even have to use the 32X.
Yep.
You can use one of our simple cartridge adapters. They don't have any hardware and everything just runs in the Mega SG. It takes a lot of time to do those systems from scratch. 32X is a whole other level. So we'd have to sink a big chunk of time into just doing that one, and it would have to be a balance of how many people are really interested in it versus how much time it's going to take.
So I would want the definitive 16-bit Sega experience, and I would want the ability to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not going to sit here and say I would use the 32X aspect of it a ton. I am far more interested in the Sega CD stuff, but Sega CDs have a bunch of fucking moving parts.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of taking an original Sega CD and hooking it up to this, like, it doesn't solve the problem I want solved. The problem I actually want solved is let me keep my discs somewhere quiet and cool and dark and have better ways to run that stuff. But that's not how they market their, the custom firmware for the Super NT did come out and let you run Super Nintendo games off of an SD card.
He is quick to reiterate that, like, only official firmwares will come from us, and, like, it's not going to have that. Like,
right.
Even if it exists, they sort of disavow knowledge of
totally
that ability.
And I guess the other aspect of it is, like, I don't know how many times I'm willing to shell out $200 for a device that only plays one. I guess this is technically more because it'll play Master System games. There'll be another cartridge adapter for playing like SG-1000 or like some of the other Sega
Game Gear as well. It'll do Game Gear, SG-1000, SC-3000, and Mark III. I don't even know what those things are.
Mark III is the Japanese Master System.
Okay.
The SG-1000, SC-3000 were Master System like, but maybe even a step down from that visually and stuff like that. But it's all hardware that I think was later implemented in the Genesis.
Okay.
So it was kind of, some of that stuff was very easy for them to implement.
Okay. So all that stuff works, and they're going to be putting out cartridge adapters for all that stuff. So basically everything except the 32X will work out of the box in this thing.
Right.
But I am 100% with you. So yeah, I didn't mention this thing is the same price as the Super NT, which is roughly $200.
Yeah, and I think that's great, but I want the device that plays it all.
That's what you meant when you said definitive 16. But yes, I am 100% with you.
I want the device that plays all. Like if I were, this is something I would probably hold off on picking up until I see custom firmware come along that lets me bypass, like not hook up a Sega CD to it, because I only hook up my actual real ass launch Sega CD for special occasions. And I'm not looking to put it back into use.
Sometimes you just got to play Sewer Shark.
Yes. And there are ways to do that with fewer moving parts. So I would continue to do that in lieu of this.
It's go to youtube.com and type in Sewer Shark full playthrough.
Yes.
Yeah. No
as an aside, this is not the Chris Tabor that I knew.
Okay.
I got freaked out for a second because this guy's from Chicago, and I'm pretty sure Chris Tabor I knew moved to Chicago at some point. Oh, God.
Okay.
I'm 100% with you. Like,
but I want one device that's going to play Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and we've built an FPGA box that plays 16-bit on back. That's the thing I want.
I would pay more for that even. Like if you say, hey, it's not reasonable to expect to only buy one and get everything, like fine.
And I guess the other thing I would say is I want it to be as convenient, or I want it to be as convenient as possible in the vein of the Super NT and probably what the Mega SG would be.
So, I mean, the real question is if somebody will figure out a way to get all those cores up and running in one firmware on one of these boxes.
No,
but then you need card adapters.
They're not doing it because they're instead selling a separate thing.
Well,
they're selling you a Sega Genesis.
Who's putting out these modified firmwares with the SD card support?
That's a great question.
Okay, that's the real question.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is
fairly obvious.
People that are interested in also selling you another one of these boxes. If I had to guess,
that makes sense.
So Kevin Horton, Kevtris, the guy who is doing a lot of he's doing the FPGA work.
He's the guy.
This stuff. He's the guy.
They say he spent pretty much this whole year getting this Sega core.
Yeah, the FPGA based NES got a bunch of different cores for it that let it play in television, all these other platforms, and it was awesome. You're like, man, this is great. And so when the Super NT came out, I was like, oh, it'd be awesome if that then played all that stuff plus whatever other 16-bit stuff we can put onto it. That never materialized. It only plays Super Nintendo games. And so I think at this point I would be more likely to look for something that was, and it gets more esoteric from here because there's something called the Mister, a MIST device, which is an FPGA based system that is way more hobbyist, way more technical. Like it's daughter boards and bread, but it's some shit. It's a wormhole. It's a real rabbit hole to go down with this stuff. But people have been coding. Like it was originally, I think, designed to be an FPGA implementation of the Amiga, and then people went like, "Oh, I wrote Galaxian for it." So supply the Galaxian ROMs, and it'll play Galaxian. Or
is this basically an open source thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
trying to find a picture of it. Or
just type in like Mr. FPGA. It's a picture of some fucking boards stacked together.
Wow. So this is sort of like the open source scan converter, just
scary looking, like a Raspberry Pi with some add-on daughter boards and stuff like that. So it's.
Well, do you think that's something that Analog is slowly working up toward? Like,
I think the end game is definitely like
3-4 years from now, they're like, all right, here it is, $300 or $400. Here's the thing that plays everything.
If I were running this business, I would not start with the showstopper.
Right.
I would be like, hey, here's the Sega Genesis, and hey, here's a TurboGrafx, I guess. Well, maybe not, but eventually you get down that road, and then at the end of it, you're like, all right, here's the thing. It plays everything.
It's the thing you actually wanted.
And it comes with, you'll have to buy a ton of cartridge adapters and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Though, actually, the thing I want is to not use cartridges, honestly. Leave those in the garage where they belong. Dump them.
Yeah.
Hide them. Put them in a fire safe. And play them off of this thing.
I dumped all my SNES carts
there you go.
A few months ago, courtesy of your weird USB adapter.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
The retro is neat as shit.
Now I have the ROMs of my actual childhood SNES carts sitting in my Dropbox, ready to play.
Yeah, so I don't know. Based on my experience with the Super NT, like the Mega SG will probably be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And
because that was a pretty slick package.
Yeah. And it's very convenient. It's very easy to use. And
that was the metal one, right?
Yeah. No, the analog NT, the NES one was metal.
Gotcha.
The Super NT, the Super Nintendo one was plastic.
Gotcha.
This will be more like that. It's a cool device.
Yeah.
It's really fucking handy.
It's super neat.
Looks sexy.
But I think I just look at it and go like, man, this could be handier.
Yeah.
And kind of take a wait and see approach about what unofficial firmware is for that thing and all that sort of stuff, and maybe go from there.
They're partnering with 8BitDo again to make more
controllers,
retro looking controllers. Okay. This time they're not going to be Bluetooth. They're going to be like a
2.4
proprietary wireless
gigahertz thing.
But it's going to be like $15 cheaper for the package. Yeah. So there's that.
Does it get them lower latency or something?
I'm not sure. They didn't really go into a lot of detail there, but. Yeah, it's cool that they're doing this, but this was super predictable, and yes, I'm with you. Not the thing that's going to get me to shell out.
It's a thing that needs to exist, but I think I want the end game.
Yes.
I want the actual all-in-one box. And I have not used the Super NT a ton in the months following its release. So
they're just going to take 3 more years and wait for our midlife crises to deepen more.
Yeah,
and then strike.
Sure.
When we really want to pay to recapture our childhoods.
Yeah. And then there's other people working on other stuff. There's this Polymega thing that people keep bringing up.
Yeah.
Whenever this stuff enters the discussion.
I've heard that name.
Is kind of a hybrid, I didn't dig too deep into it. It sounds like it's like there's an FPGA there, but also they're doing some stuff through more traditional means of emulation and trying to meet in the middle somewhere on it. It sounds very ambitious, but some of the stuff they put out in their initial video or one of their more recent videos was like, it'll play Saturn games, and it was arcade footage. It was like, all right, what's working, what isn't, level with me here. What is this thing actually?
Yeah, that thing claims to do PlayStation games and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that thing sounds super weird. Yeah. That'd be a cool thing if it comes out and works as advertised and is accurate and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen.
Yes. Speaking of kitschy retro boxes, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo happened this weekend. And as promised, Tommy Tallarico was there to announce the Intellivision Amico.
Amico.
Yeah.
It's like, it's Italian for friend.
Okay. All right. Sure.
I was going to say it sounded like Amigo.
They're making a new Intellivision.
Why?
First of all, that video, that video they put out is super slick.
It's fucking hilarious.
B, it was bizarre.
It's just there's a big slide in it that just says online.
Yeah.
There's just stuff in there. You're like, what?
Also, that when that video got to the thing of meet the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I worked with her when she did Nintendo PR.
I know half these people.
Oh, Micah's working on this. Holy shit. It's a weird. And at least one founder of Intellivision is on board. Multiple people who have been working with this brand for as long as it's existed. So that's cool.
Hey, but why?
We'll get to the why, I guess. Or I get more to the point. I guess the why is up in the air, whether it actually justifies itself or not. But spiritually, this thing is an Intellivision. The controllers are that.
What a bad idea that is. Because the Intellivision controllers are terrible.
Well, so the controller...
Also, philosophically, the controllers look okay.
Yeah, philosophically, it seems like it is supposed to be a low-priced thing oriented toward the family, where the games are going to be cheap and straightforward. The controls are going to be straightforward.
Finally,
Supposedly.
I can game with my parents.
So and the controllers are also touchscreens.
Okay.
So that's how it's like the Intellivision controller.
I think about it as like in terms of, if you're looking for some kind of like, hey, let's play some family-friendly video games that are easy to understand. No, she hates it when I murder. This game is Jackbox because now the controllers are built in, and part of it is you can sync a phone to it and use that as a controller for free for additional controllers. So you just look at it and go like, like this is someone sat down and looked at a lot of Jackbox and looked at a lot of stuff like this and said, let's build a machine around that. But then also trying to appeal to this kind of retro player and having a bunch of games that are going to be remade. They're saying that every game on the platform will be exclusive, which is like a really weird loophole to start to create for yourself.
Yeah.
But also it's going to have like versions of or games in the franchises of, I don't know if it's remakes or what, but like Miner 2049er,
Whoa.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Okay.
Do not, I will fucking come across this fucking table.
Yeah, get your fucking
shit about Bounty Bob.
Get your fucking millennial snark out of here.
Miner 2049er is fine. We don't need another one. He doesn't need
Bounty Bob Strikes Back was better than Miner 2049er. So thus, if someone made a third game and closed out the trilogy, Yukon Johan is still out there.
Let him rest.
Never.
Let him rest in peace.
I think the business model sounds potentially interesting. They're saying all games will go for between $2.99 and $7.99.
Yeah.
No DLC.
Fill me in why this is somehow appealing and like the Atari.
I don't know that it is. I don't know that a single person is going to buy this thing, but I think it's at least an interesting angle.
Because they announced a launch date, a price, and a bunch of game franchises.
Okay.
And
because
a controller,
it automatically seems more real than any of the Atari box stuff.
And a bunch of the original Intellivision people are behind it.
To whatever end. And you know, so you look at it and they're saying like, hey, this is going to be a thing for 2D games. This is not...
Sure.
And they're saying like it'll be good for 2D, like really good at doing 2D games, which is potentially exciting if they ever put out a proper controller on that thing. That wasn't a disc and 4 buttons on the side of a touch screen, you know? Like that's where a lot of it breaks down, because I have like zero actual nostalgia for using a real Intellivision because the controllers were terrible.
Right. So this seems more real than any of that Atari BS.
Yeah, no, they've run down a full business model. They've shown pictures of everything.
And
they've announced a bunch of games.
And I also say I hate it. And that Coleco scam thing tried to do this too. I feel like getting out there and saying like no DLC is like a really shitty.
It's a little pandering.
Like getting out there and saying here's something we're not gonna do. And
will it have loot boxes?
I mean, I do
but
get
you can wall run on the.
I do get when mobile games are driven by in-app purchases. Why
totally
that would be a selling point you would want to stress.
And you're trying to appeal to a specific type of like angry old man game player that's like, back in my day, you just put the game in and it went.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, well, guess what? Games are a lot fucking better now.
See, this gun is real cool.
And I'm not saying like, hey, I want DLC in games per se, but sometimes you make a game that it'd be nice if you could expand upon it. Yeah. I don't know. Like maybe you could design a game around that, but do it fairly and not shitty.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the option is not inherently bad. And so I wonder, like, will these games be able to take patches? I mean, it's online, so theoretically, I imagine you'd be able to update the games, but
you cannot download content on this platform, Jeff.
Or I guess maybe you can, or maybe you can, but they can't charge you for it. Yeah. So then at that point, they're like, oh, well, this is a sequel to that game, I guess, even though it's just 4 more levels.
Also, I think importantly, on top of presenting a pretty comprehensive vision for this thing, they're not seeking any investment. Like, this is not being crowdfunded,
Did they come out right out and say, definitely it's not being crowdfunded? Because part of me wonders, like, if there's just going to suddenly be, like, because they're saying this will be out in October of 2020.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be electricity then.
Did they say a price?
Yeah, it's $149 to $179.
Okay.
So I think, like, when I look at, like, that pitch, I look at it and go, yeah, you could hit this. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be some amazing world-beating system or whatever, but it all looks attainable.
I can't predict there will be any demand for this thing whatsoever, but maybe there will. I don't know. It's different. That's why it's interesting, because it's not what all these, like, it's not that fucking Atari box.
It's left me looking at it going like, I will hear your pitch.
Yes.
I will sit here and hear you out. I want to see what this thing is. and maybe it'll be terrible, but like
I've been surprised before.
Like it does not come off as another Ouya necessarily,
right,
or that weird Atari, whatever the fuck that thing is.
Yeah. So they've got that going for them, I guess. Like they managed to dodge those obvious pitfalls along the way, but also like all the stuff they showed of the hardware itself was just like renders of
it's all
what they think it'll look like
stuff.
and concept stuff, and they didn't show running games, or at least in the video that they put out. There's no like, here's what this software will look like. Instead, it's like, man, we had the first pro sports licenses back in the day.
Tommy Tallarico is all over the YouTube comments filling in. If you want to know more, he said there will be gameplay footage next year.
Okay.
So
Can't wait to
so
see
like
some of those games in action, man.
yeah, like let's see what some of that stuff is, because that you could.
I want to see what the extra stuff is.
If you make good on the
I guess.
VMU concept of everyone's got their own screen for choosing plays in a sports game, or hey, you could do a whole lot of trivia games on this thing if everyone's got their own touch screen.
True.
Like that seems like something that you lead with, like, hey, we're doing a Jackbox pack custom for this because everyone's got a touch screen in it or whatever, and you can use phones out of the box. So that seems like that's the layup, right? Of just like, hey, Jackbox Amico is coming.
it almost seems like an attempt to recapture some of that kind of Wii market share.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it does have accelerometers and stuff in that.
Well,
controller
not just
also.
that, but like they say our goal is to create a console that both gamers and non-gamers are able to have fun with and play together. You know, all the games are going to be family.
Oh yeah, like
they're all gonna be
everything's
E-rated.
E-rated. Yeah, that's
Like the ESRB was out there issuing a statement on it. Like it seems like they're going for this family angle.
Sure,
like simple and accessible.
Let's see it. I think that there's been people that have tried to do that and put out some real garbage over the years, like that. What the fuck is it? It's like a DVD based. It's not the new one. It was that Zap 21 poker, and like it's just a bunch of really shitty. Anyway, whatever that thing was. Game Cage. I was gonna say Game Rage. It's not what it's called.
Game Cage?
Game Cage. Stick it in the Game Cage. Let's play some trivia.
No, I
David
would get
Rage.
behind something called Game Cage.
Yeah. I'm breaking out the Game Cage.
No Game Cage.
And then
can
I'm
hold
breaking
me.
out of the Game Cage.
You're not trapped in this game cage with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the game cage with you.
Despite all my rage.
This thing has Toe Jam and Earl on it.
Right.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's got R-Type.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah.
Weird that you would want to go back and play it?
Dude, R-Type rules.
Well, weird in the
I'll
idea.
play
of-
R-Type anytime.
But then, like, are these going to be, a lot of these, they spoke of them as updates.
Yeah.
And so, like is it going to be a remastered version of R-Type?
Or they just do a new art for R-Type? I
Right.
don't know.
I would look at that.
I'd play that.
A lot of people like to talk shit around when the Super Nintendo Mini was coming out. It's like, oh, you're going to boot this up and play these games for 15 minutes and put them away. I stand by probably put even more time into that than those. Like, do you really think you would go back and play more than 5 minutes of original R-Type?
I would finish R-Type. Let's go stream R-Type. Start to finish right now.
There's so many better games.
Like this might be that. I don't know. Like who knows if this thing's going to be any good, or even if it is, if anybody's going to want it. But like it's at least.
If someone in 2018 comes out and says, hey, in 2020, we're going to be doing something with minor 2049er, I'm going to look. Because that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
That's a dumb...
this thing is
that
just-
was in their announce video. They're like, hey, man, minor 2049er is back. I'm like, fuck you. That's not real.
So we're both in agreement of how terrible this is as an idea.
It's a very bizarre idea.
You want to watch the car crash.
I want to
don't.
watch the car crash, and maybe it won't be.
Yeah.
There's always the possibility that this
You
actually...
see the car like going off the ramp, and you're like, "Ooh, something cool's going to happen over there, no matter what."
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just like, "No, it's going to be a terrible accident. I don't even want to see it."
And I'm like, nah, maybe it'll just be like a neat little thing.
Maybe it'll do a
Like,
cool barrel roll.
Maybe I can pay $6 for just, hey, here's Bounty Bob running around coloring in ground like he does.
Yeah.
Maybe Bruce Lee will come to this thing.
Ooh, maybe.
That's a tremendous video
I
game.
thought you were like insinuating that they were going to get Bruce Lee.
No, they're gonna use the Amico to like bring Bruce Lee back. That's how powerful
on your phone.
But it'll be in 2D.
Okay. So like Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
The 2D version
Yes.
of Bruce Lee.
oh jeez.
I don't like this conversation. But yeah, whatever. At least it's a different pitch.
Yeah.
You look at it and go, this could come to market.
Yeah. They've thought this through.
Amazing. Yeah.
Whether or not it works.
Yeah, whether or not it's a good idea, they've thought it through.
They have a comprehensive vision for this thing, and I'm curious to see how it works out.
I never want to hear about it again.
All right, I'm going to ask you to leave the room every time we talk about it.
I will. I'll do it.
Don't get too hyped up for a potential Diablo 4 next week.
Too late. Already hyped up for a potential Diablo 4
What
next
about
week.
Diablo 5?
Bad news for you. There's not going to be a new Diablo game next week.
What? Is next week BlizzCon?
Yes.
Okay.
Next Friday, same day as Extra Life, or day before. Next Friday morning is the start of BlizzCon, and some hubbub had gotten going about the idea that a new Diablo was going to get announced there until Blizzard went and posted to a blog and said, maybe slow your roll a little bit.
What
Probably
what
a
did
good
they actually
idea
say?
to manage expectations.
Their actual quote, these are very exciting times. We currently have multiple teams working on different Diablo projects, and we can't wait to tell you all about them when the time is right.
This one is phone wallpaper. Yeah. This one is a card for Hearthstone.
This one's a gotcha game.
Ooh.
We know what many of you are hoping for, and we can only say that good things come to those who wait, but evil things often take longer. We appreciate your patience as our teams work tirelessly to create nightmarish experiences worthy of the Lord of Terror.
Hail Satan.
So they do say they, quote, intends to share some Diablo-related news at the show. So,
and is that news?
Well, yeah, because they're
Diablo
having like
on Switch available now?
well, yeah, it comes out the same day,
Right.
but it's got that's not even news. Like, it's got to be
Yeah.
something else.
It'll be like fucking. You can look like the Butcher in Overwatch now.
Ooh.
There's a skin for
yeah,
Roadhog.
it'll be like Deckard Cain coming to Heroes of the Storm.
Like, it's got to be something because they put that Diablo panel front and center right after
There's
the
a
keynote.
cow level now.
Like, I could maybe see it being another expansion.
Is it just Diablo? What did they remaster Diablo 2?
No, they didn't do that.
Okay.
Did they?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Right. Yeah, they did that StarCraft thing, and
Fucking bullseye.
there was that hire a couple 3 years ago.
Yeah.
About like classic Diablo stuff. So
That seems like a pretty big announcement.
remastered Diablo 1 and or
I guess
2 would get a lot of people excited.
They did the Diablo 2 themed stuff in Diablo 3. That was like an event, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was, I think it was a time limited thing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I bet that's what it is. I bet it's remasters of those games.
I never finished Diablo 2, so
That StarCraft Classic was handled extremely well. So
Yeah.
people would get very excited about that treatment for Diablo games.
Not enough for me personally.
No, I'm with you. I don't have the fondness for those games that a lot of people do.
I liked them just fine at the time.
Yeah.
No problem with them. But I would like to see a new Diablo game.
Yeah. If I was going to play more Diablo, it would be 3.
Right.
At this point.
Yeah.
it'd be Path of Exile for me.
But yeah, that's a week from Friday. So stay tuned.
I will.
Lastly, there's a Pyramid Head event launching in Metal Gear Survive today.
What?
Anybody?
Wait, what?
And Survive. I'm like, what?
Remember Metal Gear Survive?
Yeah, we
That's
just
that
saw
Pachinko
enough
machine,
nukes
right?
that
Yeah.
Pyramid Head came out and said, "Why'd you get rid of all my nukes?"
They were made in my image.
There's an event starting today through November 6th called the Researcher's Story Special Edition,
It really rolls off the tongue.
in which you can unlock.
In Japanese, it's
okay.
Yeah,
good.
you can unlock a Pyramid Head for your head in Metal Gear
Alright.
Survive.
Oh, that'll be awesome to show to all my friends when we're playing Metal Gear
when you're
Survive
building
together
your
in co-op.
bases.
We're all getting together and like fucking going nuts.
They're also
Yeah,
they're
that
also
sexy pyramid.
they're also
Stand right next to him, or else you can't see it through the fog.
Yeah.
they're also adding some cassette tapes of music from Silent Hill and Castlevania.
Okay.
Anyone?
What are you looking for here? You want us to be excited about Metal Gear Survive, Brad?
I just want to talk about Metal Gear
It's not going to
Survive.
happen.
Did that game come out this year?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was exactly why I brought this up. That's the reaction I was looking for. Remember Metal Gear Survive? That was the first new game I
finished
played in 2018.
Metal Gear Survive.
I went to a preview event for that thing like a week and a half into this year. Feels like an eternity ago.
That was not a good game.
Yeah, it had some cool ideas.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with you that far down that road.
There were some interesting things about Metal Gear Survive.
Sure.
It still exists, and they're doing a live event for it.
Why? How many people are continuing to play Metal Gear Survive?
I mean, you think about it. There's
more.
still got to be a cluster of people at Konami with literally fucking nothing to do all day. They can't make a new game. What are they going to do? Let's put a Pyramid Head in. What else are we going to do? I don't know.
Is it teasing a new Silent Hill?
No.
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 They're bored and they have nothing else to do.
I should point out that you have to have finished the story mode to access this. app.
Fuck.
Well, I'm in luck then because I did that.
Go to town.
Awesome.
I will
Sweet.
not. I will not be able to join you.
Serious in-depth look coming up. We're going to just
when I've got Pyramid Head and you don't, every time we play together, you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I got the Pyramid Head.
Well, first he's going to be like, it's Pyramid Head.
Yeah, and I'd be
just
like, no, it's just me, guys.
take off the hat.
Yeah.
I'll see you in game tonight.
Yeah. We'll fucking poke zombies with a stick through a fucking chain link fence for an hour.
I'll see you in the dust.
Well, not that long because the stick is going to lose durability.
Well, I'll make a lot of sticks and a lot of fences.
God, there is something I kind of want to go back to.
No.
At some point,
I can tell you, don't.
that's a bad idea.
Don't do it.
Not even
do
for-
it.
There was something to that game.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there is something to that game.
there
but
totally
like,
is.
But like they fail
It's
to
not worth-
capitalize
it's
on
not-
every aspect
It's not worth
of it.
putting up with the
You should
the
finish
tedium.
some other games.
Yeah,
first.
there's no
R-Type.
I'm not gonna.
R-Type.
Yeah, now we're talking. It's a good tight experience.
Is there a Pyramid Head event
good
happening in
45
R-Type?
minutes?
R-Type DX, I won't talk shit about.
Who even owns R-Type at this point?
IREM.
No, do they still exist?
Still exist?
I don't know. That's my question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I assume they do.
Fucking launch out and strike the evil Bido Empire.
Yeah, someone has to.
Yeah, I'm not going to play Metal Gear Survive anytime soon. Don't get me wrong. I'm at least sensible enough to know there are other games that need to be played.
Maybe next month.
If you get the urge, remember, you can call us anytime. We'll help you through it.
No, I will happily tell you about why you shouldn't play Metal Gear Survive, but I don't have any reasons anymore because I blocked all that out. I was about to say I will gladly tell you the events of the story in Metal Gear Survive, but those are long gone, man.
All right.
I don't remember
some
any of that shit.
There was
There's a time travel
Time
thing.
travel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
that sounded cool.
The drugs didn't work.
Like the one story thing I heard
just
sounded
make you
cool,
worse.
but that was it.
Okay, let's read emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. Yeah, there's that double email music.
That's right.
Now
A
we're
rare
super ready.
email to
First email comes in from Tommy.
the sequel to email.
Yep. Yep. This email's from Tommy. What sort of reaction, if any, should we expect from Bandai Namco to rein in the staggering amount of penises people have immediately put on their characters in Soul Calibur 6?
Rein them in? What are you talking about?
Let them dicks loose.
Yes, exactly. We got tons of booby bounce. Like, why can't we get
I'm
some
making
good
Bobby
dick
Lashley.
physics up in here? I want
Please, Richard
floppy
physics.
ones. I want like every dick that you put on somebody right now is just completely rigid, and I want some. I want some realism. I want a little, floppiness in there.
Like a mount your friends kind of thing?
They don't need to rein in shit.
Okay. So no reaction whatsoever.
No, I need them to react with dick physics.
Just let it ride.
I don't think they're going to do anything.
Yeah, they're not. Probably not.
Though I guess apparently they are banning people who are trying to play the PC version of that game under Linux through like Steam Play, which is like a
Weird.
like it is tripping something in some anti-cheat somewhere, and people are getting their accounts banned for attempting to play it.
Sucks. I mean, Steam Play is a totally like Valve-made thing, right?
Yeah,
Weird. That's not good.
that's not good. Maybe that's fixed by the time I said that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Heard that was going around.
Yeah.
Wiggly dicks.
Here is an email from Gabriel. How is Second Life still a thing? Out of nowhere, I've been getting all these Second Life ads showing a bunch of pregnant women. Should I just throw away my computer and get a new one?
Yes.
Yes.
Something went wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to fix your browsing history, but
No, that'll follow you forever.
Throw away all your email accounts and
Seriously,
start
like-
new ones also.
I still think it's fucking weird that we used to work right across the street from Second Life.
Right.
And
Oh man.
maybe we should go over there and
Did
ask
they
them.
like black out their windows all the time?
No, it's just a pretty unassuming little office space that said
That you knew
Linden
of.
Labs on it.
Yeah.
Pretty inconspicuous.
I mean, it's got to be just nothing but kink over there now,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Like all the ads that I see are gross like that.
I mean, there's a lot of that, but it's
I think it's got to be most of it, though. Like, are they trying to bring in new casual?
They're trying to bring politicians back. Like, hey, we're going to hold a town hall in Second Life. It rains dicks. Like, they aired on the side of like, well, it's raining dicks. Let's bias in favor of the dicks instead of the politicians.
Any sort of game that's social first is going to have its communities make the game last longer than your average multiplayer game. And since Second Life was literally just like hang out with your friends or whatever and do weird sex stuff or not, but mostly sex stuff, there's going to be communities there that just live for years. And like there's the weird sex stuff, but I find the weirder stuff are like the people who hold weekly discussion forums about philosophy and stuff, which
followed by the orgy afterwards.
No, that's like completely.
I don't believe you.
Completely, it's even weirder. I would be more at ease if there was an orgy afterwards.
Yeah. I feel like anything that's going on in Second Life is just a half a second away from porn.
That's just the whole internet, though.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
You just talked about dicks for a solid minute and a half.
That's true.
Like, there's probably someone watching this broadcast right now that has porn in another window. It's always there.
Stop looking at me like that.
The internet is poison.
Look at me.
Modern society is titillating itself to death. And there's the proof. Okay.
Wait, what? He said tit. Oh, like Baps. Yeah, I got you.
All right. Zach from Springfield. I don't know which Springfield. I bet there's a lot of Springfields out there.
Probably.
It's the one that Cobra runs.
No.
Yes, probably.
Hey, fucking go under that car wash.
Is that where they're hiding the weather manipulator?
Yeah.
I'm stuck in a dilemma.
Weather Dominator, please.
I'm sorry.
Go. I forgive you. Go on.
Ah, man. I failed.
The Sarge forgives
Fake
you.
nerd.
I'm stuck in a dilemma. I had an unusual urge. I want to buy a Vita. They are no longer being manufactured, and I feel like now is the time to strike. Here's my problem. I am a PC and Switch person for those sweet indies, and a PS3 and PSP for those PS1 classics, but I can't stop thinking I really need to add a Vita to my collection. I know the meme is that the Vita has no games, it's a bad system, etc., but is it worth purchasing?
I mean, if you're already playing a lot of indies on those other platforms, I feel like a lot of the best Vita games, or the Vita games that people talk about when they say, no, there are games on the Vita, are games indies that are in a lot of other places.
Yeah.
It's got a really nice screen.
If you can get I think there were some panels, like some Vitas were better than others.
Well, the first generation has an OLED screen.
Right,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Which is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then the
then the
second
more
gen,
Yeah.
second gen just has an LCD, which is less cool.
All right, around the table, everyone's favorite Vita exclusive.
Oh God, exclusive?
Frobisher says. Was that on the Vita or was that on the PSP?
That's I think that's Vita. Yeah, Wartime Fun was PSP. Frobisher Says was Vita. Man, I was meant to play Murasaki Baby, and I never played that. And that looked cool.
Okay, that counts.
Soul Sacrifice.
That's that game with the angry book, right?
Yep, there's an angry book in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Uncharted, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't go out of your way.
I played some of that.
There was a good
So there you go.
Killzone on there.
If those games sound interesting to you, then get a Vita.
Yeah, you could play Persona 4 Golden.
Persona 4 Gold.
That's true.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's probably the best version of that game, right?
worth it alone.
I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the best version.
Yeah. I would but I would probably try to get a PlayStation TV, like a Vita TV, for that, and not play it on a handheld.
You could get that. You could get the Danganronpas if you like those.
Dragon Grandpa.
Doggone.
Dragon Grandpa.
I think if you can find one for the right price, like get a fucking Vita. Yeah.
What's the right price?
$30. Somewhere
I got
between
one
$30 and
already.
$40.
I got one on Craigslist this year for 40.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Like
Just gotta browse
at that
around.
price, why not just get a Vita?
Yeah.
Well, because then you have to also buy games.
Right. Right.
Hang on. PlayStation Vita, first generation, factory sealed.
Why does it need to be factory sealed?
Just
Don't want
curious.
someone else's grubby mitts on it.
I'm just
Don't want to
that
find
is
porn on it.
like that is the most expensive version of a Vita that would be worth buying. So I just kind of then you go down from there. Looks like it's still going to be a couple $100 to get a
Brand new
brand
Vita.
new original Vita. Not worth that. Definitely not. Brandon from Illinois. Do you guys eat mac and cheese with a fork or a spoon? Thanks for your time.
Fork.
Spork.
Whoa. Wow.
That is the ideal.
It depends on what kind of
mac and
macaroni.
cheese.
You know,
Okay,
if it's the tube stuff,
Yeah.
then a fork. Because nothing's more fun just like getting each individual piece of macaroni
on every
on every prong of the fork.
You're talking like the Kraft.
Yeah,
Okay.
but if we're doing shells, that equals spoon.
Okay, sure.
I think I would probably go spoon in all cases, but
In
I
all
don't. But I would use a fork
It's
also.
so satisfying to.
No,
just,
you're right.
like-
I've done that. It's great.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
Most mac and
But-
cheeses I'm eating now have stuff in them, like hot dogs or chicken or what have you.
Oh man,
so fork.
that's an ideal spork situation. Then
I'm gonna go straight fork on those.
can you buy?
Yeah, you can. I don't think you can buy
buy
plastic
plastic
forks all day long.
I usually load up whenever I go to KFC. I'll just grab a handful.
Yeah,
and
and
I'm
you get a
good
nice
for
wet
while.
nap. Nothing
Yeah.
like a nice wet nap.
Right.
Oh,
But I haven't found
that lemony freshness just keep me
whole
damp.
packages of sporks.
Honestly, one of the most disappointing parts of the Buffalo Wild Wings experience we had at PAX was
Yeah.
the wet naps weren't even wet.
Oh yeah, we got some dry ass wet naps.
What?
Yeah, it was. It was.
It was like the crowning
here's
bad
yeah.
moment of a bad meal.
Here's a dry cloth that once smelled like lemon. I like a moist towelette.
Oh yeah.
That's moist.
Oh yeah,
It's
moist
gotta be
is right
moist.
there in the name. I don't
It's
like
right there in the name.
not a
but
once moist towelette.
yeah,
And not like a soaking towelette, not like a wet towelette.
dripping
Because there's sometimes
No,
you
come
get
on.
them
Yeah,
like with
you
just
get a
dripping
couple of
off.
drops.
saturated.
That's nice.
Once a moist towel.
Yeah,
trying
once-
to
yes.
make up for my G.I. Joe references. Andy from Ohio.
Was once.
I almost brought these up earlier. It's weird that we got these emails and also already talked about this a little bit on the show, but there's like a handful of emails came in about old GameSpot stuff. I guess because we talked about reviews.
Right, and the 10th anniversary bombcast went up over the weekend.
Yes, that's also out there. If you want to.
Nice work on that, Ben, for cutting that together.
Thank you.
That was
It's fun.
gargantuan task.
Yeah.
It's fun reaching out to everyone and getting all those stories.
You're the man for gargantuan tasks.
Let's start with this one. Chris from Stafford in Virginia. During last week's episode of Jeff Gersman's Pro Skater, Brad and Jeff discussed... Oh, that's right. It was on the Tony Hawk stream. Brad and Jeff discussed GameSpot's old review system that derived a game's overall score from component scores for gameplay, graphics, sound, value, and reviewers' tilt. How were the component scores weighted? What were the guidelines for scoring each one, value and reviewers' tilt in particular? If you had to apply this system to a recent video game, such as Destiny 2, how would you score it? So, before we get into this, I assume this is probably kosher at this point, but it's kind of the nice thing about having built a NAS and dumped every hard drive I ever owned onto it.
Yeah.
I went on there and just typed star.xls
Oh, wow.
and found scorecalc.xls
Awesome.
pretty quickly.
So I will tell you that sometimes this Excel spreadsheet rounded differently than the site did.
Really?
So sometimes you would punch it in on the Excel spreadsheet
What?
and get a 6.7 and then enter it on the site and it would come out at 6.8.
What?
Just because they used different rounding, just as the math worked out.
Yeah. So I mean, are we? That
Which
thing
was always
is-
frustrating. But anyway.
we can talk freely about this, right?
Yeah.
Let me pull up the
So
spreadsheet.
you actually have the calculator right there?
I literally imported the modified date on the file was 2002.
So you can name any game right now. I could give you 5 scores, and you would give me the GameSpot appropriate
this
score.
is literally it. I imported the spreadsheet
Wow.
into Google Sheets.
Brad.
So I can tell you that.
Well, maybe we can answer the first question about value.
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up.
tilt.
So
Yeah.
the
Oh,
weighted
overweight.
values are, so graphics and value count for 1.5. So
Okay.
Yeah.
1.5. Sound is a straight 1. Gameplay and tilt are both modified by a factor of 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So gameplay and tilt by far the most heavily weighted. Graphics and value a little bit. Sound not at all.
Huh.
Yeah.
So those are the values.
So what was kind of the philosophy of weighting those ways?
I wasn't here. That was GameSpot launched before I started. So I came in. GameSpot launched in May of '96. I came on in October of '96, and their score and weighting stuff was already set.
Right.
So I
Did
don't
you get
actually.
any idea from?
Well, I think the idea was that so it was the way the numbers were used.
Yeah.
It was the idea of like, okay, gameplay is going to be first and foremost. That's the stuff we really care about.
Yeah.
Graphics matter. Value, replayability matters. Games cost money. Let's make sure that that's weighted in there. And sound.
And it was worth noting that this was before like games as a service. This was when you wanted to know if how long your $60 was going to stretch.
That was 50.
It was
back
50
then.
then. Yeah. God damn it.
And there was no internet connected to consoles of any kind.
Right. And they were reviewing PC games.
Couldn't wall run.
Yeah. No, there's no wall running allowed.
Wait, did they not launch with console reviews?
No.
No,
it was I came in to launch. I was the third employee to come in on editorial anyway.
Video
GameSpot.
Oh wow, okay.
So GameSpot had launched months before that.
Okay.
And
I thought it all launched at the same time.
No.
Huh.
So they had already established all those principles about review, score, and weighting and stuff like that by the time we got there.
Okay.
I think so. We just used that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But the reviewer's tilt was always designed to be. It's that concept of like a game is more or less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Is like you get those scores in there and you're like, yeah, but there's something about this game that's special. I'm going to tilt it up to get the final score. It was like basically like the one thing that the reviewer could really sway.
Yeah.
And because of that, it swayed it a lot. It swayed it as much as gameplay did.
Because you were supposed to be judging those other categories more or less objectively, as ridiculous as that.
Whatever that means.
Like
and
if the game
compared to other games.
Yeah. Like if the game
of the time.
Yeah.
Like if the game looked like shit, you kind of were duty bound to give it a low graphics score, even if you loved the shit out of the game.
Like if it had a cool art style, like a cool idea for an art style, but it just looked bad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So tilt was kind of like the spot where the reviewer could say, this game looks like shit and the sound is garbage, but I really like playing it, and I really like playing it. Yeah, like the gameplay ends up high, and then tilt ends up high to kind of offset those lower things. So people would always use that incorrectly, which is part of the reason why, eventually over time, it's like, fuck it, we're getting rid of it because people just can't understand it.
And you were saying, games ended up having the same score all the time.
Totally, because every point of tilt would equal out to 0.3 on the final score. As you raised it up, it would be like, oh, well, let's bump it up 0.3 by raising tilt up 1 point. Mm-hmm. And so you had people that would look at tilt and go, that's the real score because that's what the reviewer gave it. It's like, no, that's the reviewer attempting to sway the final score. No one's going like, I think the game's great, so I gave it an 8 in tilt. Like, that's never how it worked. And so for a long time, you have that fight of like, no, these people are fucking wrong. Our way is right and the best. If people understood it, they would know that. And then finally you go like, we've spent 10 years trying to get people to understand this. Fuck it. Like, let's make it something that anyone can look at and understand and not misconstrue. Which obviously people will still misconstrue reviews all day long. I don't care how simple you make the scoring system. Some people are going to get in dumb fights on the internet about review scores because they have nothing fucking better to do. So yeah, that was the change I went through. Was just like, fuck it, let's make it slightly easier to understand and get rid of all this shit. But yeah, that was always how it was designed. But I did not design that system. So
all right, here we go, Ben.
All right,
pick a game. I mean, the emailer literally asked us. No.
For me,
yeah.
Well, I shouldn't pick the game. You should pick a game for me.
Spider-Man. What's the most recent game you reviewed?
I just reviewed that.
Yeah.
All right, hit me.
Graphics. What are the graphics in Spider-Man? Okay,
it's out of 10.
Okay, it's out of 10, and keep in mind that like typically 7s were good. Like if a game got an overall 7, you could say, hey, it's good graphics.
Yeah,
that'd be a graphics 7. Great graphics would be an 8. Superb graphics would be a 9.
Best I've ever
Perfect
seen.
graphics would be a 10. Prime in later years.
Like bear in mind that like any 10-point scale, people are going to treat it like letter grades. So yeah, anything below a 70 or a 7
and then,
is
like,
going to be considered bad.
What 6 was fair, 5 was mediocre, or was it the other way around?
I think 6 was fair,
and it eventually got down to abysmal. I think was the lowest.
But again, like by the standards of the day, anything 6 and below, people treated it as complete garbage.
Even though that was never really what we meant. The thing we would always say is like, because we knew what the average score was on GameSpot across all the reviews. You'd look at it and say like, oh, it seems like we on average give somewhere around a low 7.
Yeah.
And you look at that and go like, well, the average game coming out these days as standards improve is going to be good. And there will be some that, and there are some that are so bad that are so small that you're just not even reviewing. So your average is going to end up in there anyway.
And it's not even that like all games are average across all things. It's like most games do a couple things pretty well and could do a couple things better.
Yeah.
In a
lot of cases.
That was real fun when we started this site and started trying to explain the review scale to like public relations people.
Right.
When they're looking at their Metacritic averages.
Yeah. Because like,
and saying like, what the fuck? How'd you give this a 60? And I'm like, well, if you think about it, it's kind of like a 7.5 on GameSpot, like psychologically.
Right.
I had one longtime PR person that I had known forever just say like, what the hell kind of voodoo math is that? Like that's, like people didn't get that.
Right.
As much as we said, like, hey, that's the middle of our scale, that's good, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's not terrible or amazing, that's decent.
Right.
And they're just like, no, that's a 60. That means it's shit.
And that was one of the Soul Calibur games I reviewed. I remember we got some, like, whoever was doing PR for it at the time that was not happy with one of those games I reviewed.
All right, graphics 8.
For Spider-Man. Wow.
Yeah,
It's great graphics.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
What?
I'm a Sony shill.
Why so low? It's because of the fucking
I'm
puddles.
Microsoft.
It's because of the puddles, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, if there were more puddles, it'd be...
Puddlegate.
Okay, go ahead.
What's next?
Sound.
7.
Wow, man.
Okay.
It's harsh.
The music, the music's good, but there could be more. I don't know. It got a little samey.
that's fair,
That
yes.
like orchestral swelly got a little.
Sure.
Yeah, I did not finish that game, but I definitely like tired of the I'm
It
swinging
was
and
cool
now
the
this music
first
is
time
playing.
it
that
happened,
changes.
and then
Yeah.
Every time there's like a
Right.
super major story beat, you get different music.
Yeah.
But then it's that same music for a while.
Right.
yeah.
Gameplay.
8.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
8.5.
Based on
Are there
what,
points?
No,
or is
they're
this,
not.
Okay.
based on what he said in the review, the actual review, the 8 for gameplay seems
Yeah, it's balanced out
Yeah,
by
the-
those. It would be higher if not for those
seems,
stealth sections.
seems right. I think the graphics score is suspect here. But let's move on.
I wasn't on a pro.
So,
It's worth noting
so we
for the
always
review.
you always had to do value before tilt, even though it's last on the spreadsheet.
Value.
Yeah, like how long is it? Did you feel like you got $60 worth out of it or something? You know, like that. This is
seven.
all right.
Because there was a lot, but some of the a lot was a little repetitive. You know.
7 for value.
It's a good value.
Yeah.
you would say.
This is a weird situation that we never ran into back then, but now like they just added
'Cause,
that
like,
new game plus mode like yesterday or
Right,
a few days
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
And they have DLC coming out, which is a whole nother thing.
But yeah, like I don't even know how we would have dealt with.
Well, we
that.
reviewed it at the time of
Yeah,
review.
yeah.
You know, if a patch came out that fixed some things, then you'd review it. Even original PC GameSpot would have the version number that they reviewed listed, so that you would know looking at it that like, hey, we reviewed 106, and now they're on 112, and who knows what they fixed? We don't know. Here's the review as it was written, and you'd go
So
from there.
do I get the total now and then apply till
No,
after?
you don't get a total.
No, 'cause
now it's like you.
you basically punch in the tilt and see what it gives you.
Okay, go till 8.
Okay.
A little higher to make up for all the other stuff that you're wrong about.
Because the game is, it's more than the sum of its parts. It's a sort of je ne sais quoi, Jason.
With the tilt of 8, that brings Spider-Man to a 7.8.
Oh, God damn it.
How fucking dare you, you scumbag! I'm gonna set your fucking house on fire again.
Till 10! Till 10!
Wow. So before I
bringing up to tilt 9 would give it an 8.1.
before I type that in, I was actually going to ask, like, was there anybody on staff that ever just like chronically gave out tilt 10s just to
No.
Was there, or more to the point, would there have ever been any pushback on a tilt of 10? Because there was such an aversion to an overall 10 or to like component scores of 10 in general that like I could see that.
I think the text would have to back it up. You would want text that said like that would literally in some cases even say like, hey, you know, like there are aspects of this game that are, you know, maybe hurting in some spots, but man, it comes together.
Second to last paragraph is the reviewer's tilt.
No, that's the value paragraph or the
right.
graphics and sound. It's like graphic sound value. That'd be like a conclusion sort of thing.
Okay.
Typically it went intro, story,
Yeah.
several paragraphs on gameplay mechanics.
Yeah. Graphics,
Multiplayer if it was in there.
Yeah.
Then graphics, then sound, then value / conclusion.
It sucks that it became such a template. No one like dictated that.
Yeah.
It's just naturally how it.
That's just how it happened.
Like if you think about it as like an inverted pyramid of information,
It's literally just a
like,
5-paragraph essay.
That is how it went.
Okay, Brad, real quick.
Tilt of what? What?
Oh, well, I'm fine with the 7-8.
Oh, jeez, man.
Whatever. That's not just, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Totally. Yeah.
All right, real quick, Brad. This one's for you. It's a game you beat this year. You got to go real fast. Super Mario Brothers.
Fuck, man. Shit.
Well, so that's a hard one because then, like, in reviewing old games on the scale was really difficult because you're like, well, this is like a graphics 1.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
try and put yourself in the time, you know?
I mean, if I were to review that by standards of today, yeah, it's like I'd say graphics 2, sound.
But also, like, that's the thing is like if you think about pixel art coming back in such a big way, now it's
7.
like kind of bad by modern pixel art standards.
Totally is. You're right.
But also, there's still some charm to it. So it's not a 1, right?
It's pretty innovative.
The clouds are the same as the bush,
Yeah.
dude. They didn't even try.
They use every part of the cloud. That's
Let's see. I'm going to say graphics 3.
okay.
Sound of 6. Music gets a little repetitive. Gameplay.
It's pretty tight. Pretty tight controls.
You know, they're exercising. They're flexing some wild new ideas. This feels like it could be the start of a whole new genre.
we'll see.
But the jumping physics are just a little bit stiffer than I would like.
It just doesn't feel like a natural fall from,
Yeah.
from the peak of the jump. And
Yeah.
just like some of the
Yeah, but you have a little
horizontal movement in the
I like
air.
the air control a little bit. And I like the
I could
fact
do
that
with
you
some
can like
more.
turn around right
Whose
before you
review
jump.
is
And
this?
then,
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, if,
Also-
if you think about Zookeeper back when Taito put that out in arcades, you had such extreme air control. I think if Mario had that, then maybe we would be talking.
Also,
guy
also
named
you can
Jumpman.
skip like 2/3 of the game. That's
I think that's a
true.
value
Yeah, the
hit,
built-in.
right?
That is a value.
value.
You can finish
yeah,
it in
you
one
could,
fucking
you could,
sitting,
You could
man.
finish it. Yeah, you
In
can
fact,
finish
you have
it.
to.
You can play it again as Luigi, though.
But it doesn't actually change the game.
And no, you can't. It's if you in a
it's
two-player
two-player.
game.
Oh, yeah.
That's Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah,
That's
you can finish it pretty good, like an hour and a half, and then there's really not much replay value at all. So I'm going to say like
Low
a value
value,
of like a
yeah.
3.
Dying.
Dying. And then let's see. I'm going to tilt that just a little bit up. But I do think they're onto a good idea here. It needs some refinement.
We'll see what the second one brings.
Yeah.
I'm going to tilt that up to a 6. So, okay, Super Mario Brothers is a 4.8.
Thanks, GameSpot.
There you go.
All right.
I think that answers all of his questions.
Yeah.
Give me one. Give me
About-
one.
Oh, okay. All right. Hang on. I need to take a shot of that for later.
Okay.
Okay. I'll give you a game?
Yeah, give me a game.
Like a recent game?
Yeah, what's...
Metal Gear Survive.
Man.
Okay.
Or The Crew 2.
Ooh.
The Crew 2. All right.
boy.
Okay. So that's a really good looking game. I'm going to say graphics 8.
Okay.
I thought the sound was it's hard to remember. I think
Unmemorable?
the radios are pretty like the music is pretty lackluster. I'm going to say sound 6.
Okay.
I'm going to say gameplay 6. I'm going to say value. Ugh. So I'm trying to like put myself in the actual shoes of doing it and not like fucking, because I almost just said value 5, but it's probably not actually value 5.
I don't know, dude.
Well, by
That
harsh.
quick look
Do you mean
was fucking-
by old school GameSpot standards?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like again, anything 6 or below was getting into don't play this territory.
There was one mode.
It
There's, like,
it
one
didn't launch
thing
with
you could
competitive
do.
multiplayer.
Yeah.
That's value. That is value 5. That is value 5.
Yeah, but again, that like a 5 in 2001 standards was like a shot across the bow of that game. Like I was drawing a line in the fucking sand.
Oh, I feel incredibly strongly about the Crew 2 and how fucking bad those aspects of it are. So that is absolutely what I'm
Yeah.
Value 5
how
is
I
wait
feel.
for this game to go on sale for half off.
I'm trying to put people in the mindset of what scoring was like back then, because when you were getting down to a 5, like that was getting into controversial territory where people were going to give you shit over a score
whatever. Like
that.
you would have gotten fucking years of shit about that 7.8 for Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's, but a 4 out of 5, not a big deal. And I'm gonna say tilt 6.
Okay. That's a 6.2 for the Crew.
Yeah,
2.
that sounds like a low 6.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds about right for the Crew.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would not give that 3 stars. A low 6 by those particular GameSpot review standards of the component scores.
Yeah.
I look
like
at
a
it and
2.
go, yeah, it's fair. 6.2, that's about right.
Yeah.
But that's a 2-star game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they evoke about the same kind of gut response
Yeah.
of this is below par.
Yeah.
Like this is worse than average.
Right.
Which
Interesting.
is, yeah.
It's
I
like,
just
yeah,
Can't
that's the
believe you
thing.
gave fucking Mario a 4.
It's almost a 5. They'll get there.
Call of Duty probably gets like a graphics 7, if that. Like parts of that game.
Black Ops 4?
Yeah, parts of it look rough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blackout map does not look amazing.
Shit is getting old.
Yep.
The texture pop in when you
Yep.
land and stuff. Like there's
But that person's jaw, Jeff, you can see right through it.
that's a fucking cutscene.
Okay.
Some other team did that. Even it's
Oh god, we're running out of time. Let's read the other 2 old GameSpot days emails and then call it a show. Andy from Ohio, we kind of got into this territory earlier, but this is a little more specific. What is the most crunch time you've ever put into a review? Have you ever dropped a full weekend to do a nonstop playthrough or spent the better part of a week chugging through a game to get it done for a deadline? Were there any consequences for not being on time? P.S. For open world games, do you avoid most side quests and focus on story missions?
No, you have to do side stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's not just a critical path. Like, that's not,
I for Spider-Man, I mainlined the story and then went back for side stuff.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was easier to just get my impression as a whole once I saw how the whole story went.
For better or worse, for me, in terms of hitting deadlines, I've always tried to play review games as close to the way I would if I had just bought the game as humanly possible, even when it started getting me shit for not getting it done on time. But if I felt like I want to see every side mission in this game before I...
Yeah, and it was the sort of thing that if it was a pattern with a particular person missing deadlines over and over again, then it was something you talk to them about. But like, if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I need another day with this because I'm here and I think I need to get here," you give it to them.
Yeah,
you can't go like, "No, write it now." Like, that's not.
I hate I hate having to do that though. Like, I hate. I've had the game for like 2 weeks or whatever, and it's like, shit. I know I need to hit this certain level to get the end game stuff.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, what would have been? Well, like you said, it would just been sort of a talking to over time, I guess. Like, I don't remember. I remember it being strongly encouraged that you get the review done as fast as possible.
Yeah. Yes.
But not a hard, like, you get it done by Wednesday or you're fired.
Right. It was like, hey, we'd have a publishing schedule. It was like, we would like to run this Wednesday. And like, hey, this is slipping to Thursday.
Yeah.
And you definitely have stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
And it was never really a problem. You wanted to hit the embargo time. It was like, it was a problem insofar as you were like, that was going to be our top slot today. What do we got instead?
Yeah. God, that's right.
And
like programs, top slots,
right.
End of day promo, like last hour of the day, like trying to figure out what to put up there. Like, oh, that review didn't happen today. Like, shit.
That would have been the obvious thing, but I guess we're doing this instead. Or, hey, the top slot got promised for some exclusive preview or something, so your big review can't get it. And you're like, well, fuck. Yeah, no, it was you gave people the time they needed. You didn't want to, because if you rush it, then people make mistakes, and you don't want that.
Yes,
in a review context at all.
That's way worse than slipping a day or two.
Right, and I made mistakes over the years and trying to rush things, but Ocarina of Time is the first thing that comes to mind as a game that I got on a Friday and reviewed on Monday.
Jeez, that's a lot of that fucking game.
That's all of that game. But I finished by like Sunday afternoon. I think I went home Friday, started playing it, and then played it through the weekend and was done Monday. Or I was done Sunday. I remember I was done in time for a wrestling pay-per-view that was on maybe 4
Self-imposed deadlines help a lot,
Definitely,
that's a lot of Zelda.
And I finished the game.
For whatever reason, I have distinct memories of finishing Final Fantasy X-2 at about 5:30 in the morning, the day the review needed to go up.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, I was just I cannot go to bed until I see this ending.
I wrote a review of a James Bond game drunk.
Nice.
After some company event that I had come home for and was like, oh shit, I need to hit this embargo. And I came home just fucking wasted and wrote the review and then woke up in the morning and rewrote.
Yeah, I was going to say, how was reading that review the next morning?
It was not my best work.
There were cases where I would write previews at trade shows drunk like that.
Oh, yeah.
And just put them right on the side.
I said,
at 2 in the morning.
I've said it before. There's a hands-on preview of Grand Theft Auto 3 and State of Emergency that are probably still on GameSpot that I wrote drunk from the night before. Yeah. I played those games drunk from the night before.
Please find those and put them in the comments.
Yeah. I think every time it comes up, someone does dig them up and link to them. They don't seem that bad.
No.
But
I'm trying to think of any other.
I'm sure if there was anything egregious, somebody would edit it.
No one was editing shit. It was E3. It was like, put this up.
You're right.
It was like someone would edit it after the fact.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if there was something that was just like, oh, Jeff slipped a slur in here.
That's right. Every single thing. I did it again.
When you get drunk, it's just nonstop.
Yeah, he's a mean drunk.
I remember Mass Effect 2 being a huge grind because we got it so late.
Yeah.
I think we got it like Thursday afternoon before the Tuesday release.
Yeah.
So I went home and fucking did nothing but play 45 hours of that game in like 4 days.
Yeah. But I always play as much side stuff as I want to, and I feel like in games with good stories, the amount of side stuff I want to do tapers off near the end because I get like engrossed in the main storyline and want to see it through.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm the opposite. If
how it goes.
I really like the game, I don't want it to end, so I put off doing the story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's been times when I've done stuff like overnight. I remember the Legend of Korra Quick Look. That was like one of my first ones too, and I actually played through the entire game that first night.
Wow.
And I was like ready with a quick look the next day.
It's an impressive amount of preparation.
And it was a terrible game too. It was no fun to play.
Do you think that preparation made the quick look better?
that preparation?
Yeah.
Because we ended up accidentally deleting my save. Yes.
Nice.
During the quick look.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But no. I knew pretty well but
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's something here.
Yeah.
I keep scratching it, and I just want to know once I get all these powers or whatever if the game gets better.
Yeah.
And
instead, it's just ended.
Yeah.
It's like, congratulations, you caught them all.
I would say our review stuff lends itself to be. I've not really hit those deadlines. Like, sure, I've had kind of like, okay, finish Spider-Man by this date, ideally, and then get the review up over the next couple days. But where I feel like start to hit it is around Game of the Year time.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh fuck, I have to actually finish all these games in the next
2 weeks.
Guys, we've got to finish a lot of games in the next month.
Or do we?
Yeah, that one's a little fuzzier. I mean, you're just not as well prepared to talk about a game. You can't
Right.
Can't stake your case or you make your case on a game as well.
I think in some cases I've played as much of a game as I intend to play it.
Well, the big problem there is if you want to know how something ends and you just don't get there in time.
Right. Yeah.
That's a bummer because you can't discuss the game as well, and B, like you end up finding out what happens on a podcast as opposed to when you
I
play
feel
it.
like for me it's the opposite of just like I am walking away from this game and don't want to play any more of it.
Yeah.
And that's that.
But yeah, when this, Andy asks, like, have you ever dropped a full weekend to a playthrough of a game? Like, yeah, over and over.
Like that's yes.
Like in my mid-20s when I actually had a social life, I turned people down all the fucking time to go out and do things on the weekends. I was like, nope, I got this game I got to get through. Like it's
some of that was stuff I definitely wanted to do. Like I like turned down the thing that came up in the Tony Hawk stream, but it was like a Halloween party that I was supposed to go do with somebody, and I told her like she was a roommate. I'm going to stay here and play Tony Hawk. You go.
Yeah, when the game is great, and you're playing it before anybody else,
exactly.
Like, who gives a fuck? Like this game is amazing.
Like, I'm going to sit here and play Thug or Thug 2, whichever one it was.
Yeah,
because it's fucking awesome. I have to sit here and take pictures of my head to scan into the game. You go on ahead.
Like it absolutely, like that can definitely feel like a privilege when the game is great and you're like you're one of the first people getting to find that out. Like it's like, yeah, of course I will sit here all weekend and play this. But when it's Mass Effect Andromeda, it's different. Okay, last email. Andre from Otsu, Japan. Sorry for invoking E3 a mere 231 days ahead of the event, but I have a question on your thoughts on the event as a whole. I was wondering what an E3 Hall of Fame would look like. Who would be in it? What games or demos, moments, booths, sites, etc. I imagine Jeff would need to be in it as he has been to every single one and will eventually make the show tap out in submission before he stops going.
No, I just go. Like I just go and see stuff. Like I'm not part of the show. I don't put on E3.
Who's on your E3 Mount Rushmore?
Peter Moore.
Okay, yeah. With the which tattoo?
I'm gonna say
all of them.
Both of them?
Yeah.
This might be a bold one. I'm gonna say Yves Guillemot. Because I always look forward to him. I mean, he's more modern.
Latter day E3, absolutely.
But,
Yeah,
like-
he's really coming to his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Miyamoto deserves to be on that.
He's kind of a bit player when you get down to it. But
Yeah, I
guess
know,
could
but
see
he's-
it.
In an E3 context.
In
I
an
mean,
E3
he's
context.
still motherfucking Miyamoto.
Oh, totally. But like I would say Iwata if I had to pick one Nintendo person.
And Bubsy.
To be the face of.
yeah.
Although when this guy asks for moments in particular, like honestly, the fucking Reggie reveal was. Were you there for that? I think it was 04.
I
Like, my name is Reggie.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I'm about kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah.
Like, that was just like, who the fuck is this guy? He's like
Right.
6'6".
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he's going to come into the audience and punch me in the face.
Yeah. And then he did. It was fucked
Right.
up.
Yeah. Like, he just came out talking. He like kind of mildly cursed in the beginning of a Nintendo press conference. It was so weird
And then never did it again.
for such a family friendly company.
The Wii Music demo.
The Ravi drums?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was okay. That was weird. Honestly, for like
Talk Fuji,
yeah,
the whole
sure,
99 Nights 2
sure.
thing. Jamie Kennedy, that Activision press conference.
Like for me, before or since, there has never been anything bigger than the Metal Gear Solid 2 trailer reveal.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen a fucking fervor around
was
a
a-
single thing at E3. Like
that was a big
that
deal.
even came close to
Was it
comparing
E3
to
that they did the Dreamcast is out now.
The Saturn.
Saturn is out now.
Yeah. Was that E3 or CES?
It would have been 95, right?
Yeah.
So E3.
Maybe that was the first E3.
That was the first E3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the moments that stand out over the years are the embarrassing ones.
Yeah.
Mr. Caffeine.
The dumb
It's Mr.
press,
Caffeine.
dumb press
It's-
conference
It's
goofs.
Sega fucking teasing this huge announcement at E3, and then you show
Oh,
up.
the Megaton.
And it's the Segaton. and then once you get in that room, they say, we're co-publishing the Matrix
Online.
And you're like, woo! Fuck.
Wait, so what was the Megaton then if that was the Segaton?
I don't
You're
think
thinking of the
there
Regaton.
wasn't actually a
Wasn't
there
there?
wasn't actually a real Megaton,
Are you
right?
sure?
That was just people just like trying
thought
to
that's
claim
where-
that some big Nintendo announcement was big.
I thought that's where people got the name Segaton from.
Yes, but like I think that was just generic dumb fucking forum shit.
I
don't know.
It absolutely, was that.
But I don't know that I don't know that the Megaton is actually prescribed to a specific moment as opposed to just like
Yeah, you might be right.
an event of significant size gets called that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. on that.
Would you guys put any tastes or smells?
Oh man,
Kensha Hall. Just
Yeah.
as a whole.
That Sony party.
Any
parking
particular
lot,
food?
Stadium.
we have a bunch of weird.
Camp Freddy is on the fucking
Camp
Mount Rushmore of
Camp,
E3.
Camp Freddy is. Although I think the CES Camp Freddy show.
Yeah,
was
no, that
better.
CES Camp Freddy show was way better.
That hummus that we get. It's pretty good.
Yeah, put that
time-
hummus up there.
The time I saw Foo Fighters twice in the same night at different venues.
Yeah.
because they crashed the Sega party after the Sony party and started playing there too.
The time the lead singer of Third Eye Blind said that he wanted to fuck Lara Croft in the middle of their set at an Idols party.
Are you ready for the Beck?
Yeah,
Among Us?
yeah, and truly.
It was the 90s.
Lara Croft, she's so fucking hot. I want to fuck her. The
God, E3 is terrible.
Those were the Atlanta years when the gloves were truly off.
Yeah, that was bad.
my dick stuck in a PlayStation.
I don't know why. Maybe it was just what was around the show floor or something like that. But I feel like the Atlanta years were way fucking more over the top party wise than a lot of the LA stuff. Like there was the Dodger Stadium party. Like the Sony parties were big in
Yeah.
LA for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
But I feel like overall, like there was a lot more. We're walking from one party to the next party to the next party. And like the Atlanta years of E3 were fucked up. They were hard to get through.
Yeah.
I was young enough to do it. Like that was something I would not be able to do now. And fucking, especially like hosting a fucking show like we do now. Like
Yeah.
no fucking way.
Yeah.
I remember those Atlanta years being way more off the fucking hook, just bad times.
Yeah.
Though that was the IDOS party that there were rumors that if you go upstairs, some stuff up there.
Yikes.
Some ladies up there.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that ever got substantiated firmly or not, but that was the talk about. It was,
It was
I think,
firm.
It was very firm. It's like if you get upstairs at the Otis party, you're going to see the real
It's
stuff.
like Soul Calibur 6 firm.
Oh, okay. Ugh.
Did I do it? Did I end the
All right,
podcast?
let's move on.
All right. That's it for emails. Don't go to E3. Or do.
Yeah, don't. No, don't.
No.
I imagine that they're public, like, hey, if you show up for E3,
Yeah.
like that's only going to get better. It has to.
Yeah, that's fine.
It can't stay the same.
I
It's
was,
not-
I was thinking
yeah.
in old E3 terms.
Yeah.
Like being bad for your health. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. That's it. We ran a little long today. Hopefully we did not derail the post-podcast plans. Which do
we
not
gotta,
include the after show.
Yeah,
this
we're
week.
preempting the after show. I gotta I ran in here and got focused on some other stuff, and I gotta talk to them about setting that stuff up. But yes, the plan is to run another live stream and talk through the site redesign.
Yeah.
which should be going up today. But I have not
Beta.
talked to them at all today.
The beta.
Yes, the beta.
The
The beta today.
for the redesign.
Yes, not real data, so that'll be a fun wiki that you can bang around on, even though the wiki is not actually changing in the beta.
Go in there and type garbage.
Yeah, go in there and type garbage.
If you want to go in there and say that Sega made Super Mario Brothers,
You can do it.
If you want to go in there and say Super Mario Brothers is universally recognized as a 4.8 game, have that.
I mean, the spreadsheet says it right in front of me.
Yeah. But don't actually go in there and say anything too bad, or we will just ban you on the other
Oh, yeah,
side.
don't be shitty.
If you're shitty, you,
be fun. Don't be shitty.
It's not like a fucking. We're not having the purge in the fucking beta site. Yeah. So yes, I got to talk to Will and Dan and everybody, make sure that's still on and happening. But that should be back on if you're watching live.
Yeah,
we'll walk through it.
Cool. Well, stay tuned for that. Will it be archived?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to this live, then and you want to see these guys step through the beta redesign,
There's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
Yeah, some cool ideas. Modern,
So that's the idea.
let's say.
Freshen it up.
Yeah.
And some stuff you might see on there isn't completely real, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
none of the data is real. Like it's
Like if they see a show,
Oh, you're talking.
No.
Perhaps promo units for content types that may not exist.
don't exist. Like it's a fake database that we can populate with some straight up trash for fun. Perfect. So we're probably going to create some fake ass trash for fun as well.
We got to test it too.
Yeah. So
don't take anything on there at face value.
yeah. Yeah. So
Nothing is real, but everything is permitted.
not everything is permitted.
No. Okay.
Not everything.
We'll stay tuned for that. Go to, what is it, beta.chatbomb.com?
Yeah. Yes. That is where it
That'll be
will,
the address
it will live
in a matter of hours.
And if it's not live by the time you're hearing this, then something happened.
Give it some
I don't know.
time.
So yeah.
But eventually that's where it'll be if you want to go bang on it and check out the new site design and stuff.
I want to go bang on stuff. Let's
all right,
go.
cool. All right. Well, thank everyone for listening. Games will continue to come out. We will continue to talk about them here on this podcast.
We're here. We may as well.
That's right. See you next week.